Welcome, Mr. Christian Arseneault. I don't know if that's how you say it. I feel like that's how you say it. Welcome.
That's how you say it.
That's amazing. That's a good start. Welcome
We're
to
off to a good start.
welcome to Bridge the Gap. My name is Holden Stefan Roy, and basically it's the show where we take interesting people such as yourself, and I think it's interesting that you're like an active politician in an election year. That counts as, in my definition, interesting. And we walk through the story of your life a little bit and learn stuff about you, because like it's a little different, I suppose, because it's different for me. I normally talk to a bunch of rappers and artists and DJs and like beat makers and all this kind of stuff. And these folk, you know, their lives kind of play in a different direction. And then it kind of led me to this point with the politics thing where I'm sitting there going, I don't know who to vote for, right? That's what I think a lot of people say. And then I Googled. Google isn't helpful, right? I mean, I was a little ahead of the curve. I know most people aren't normally sitting there thinking about elections this early, but I Googled, and it turns out both Canada and Montreal this year, that's kind of a lot of people to pay attention to. And I'm like, okay. And then I'm like, there's no information, which is fair because I'm an English person in Montreal, and Google Translate's kind of not the best. And then I started really thinking about it, and I said, I don't know a damn thing about what like anybody does in local politics outside of the news stories that you may hear about. Like, I don't know what you do during a day. I don't know what your responsibilities are. I don't know what your jurisdictions are. I don't know like anything about anything. So I'm like, I'll do this interview show. I don't know anything about local politics. Let's go and talk to some politicians. Still, it's good to have you here, and honestly, I feel like when it comes down to local politics, it's boring. That's the truth of it. I don't know what the issues are, probably because it's often conducted in a very boring way. Like when the Suburban might be the hottest thing talking about it. Like we read the Suburban. Turns out the Suburban is very aware that elderly folk are its demographic, and that's like it's the biggest independent English news source. You know, like that's what we got. That newspaper. And then nothing. Maybe if somebody talks to y'all, I don't know if they do. I mean, at this level, like city councilor level, I don't know how deep it goes.
You know, we used to have, I'm sure you remember it, we used to have the NDG Free Press. And that was actually pretty cool. You know, like it was every 2 weeks, the local stuff, no drama, just talking about what's going on and what people are up to. Yeah, I miss that because sometimes I read the Suburban and I kind of think, yeah, you know who their target demographic is, and it ain't us.
Bro, it was honestly, it's a good time if you want a good read. Not maybe for the reasons they are intending, but if you're my age, it's a good time for different reasons. I'm not trying to be like mean to anybody. I'm all inclusive. It's just that's who the Suburban wants, and those issues are all valid. But sometimes it's astounding to see what other people care about. That's why I like Thrive NDG, because man, I do not know that people care about half the things they care about. So that's to
Oh,
me
yeah.
is really helpful. But with that, let's start with you. Where are you from? Are you from Montreal?
I'm from here. Yeah. NDG, born and raised. Spent most of my life here. Few years in Asia when I was younger, but aside from that, it's been all
Hold up.
NDG.
You spent a few years in Asia.
Yeah, my family spent some time in South Korea and China when I was a kid.
Like, how old were you kind of level a kid? Like, do you have memories of that?
It was yeah, from like the age of 7 to 14, and it was for my dad's work. We came back here every summer, but yeah, we got to live and travel around a decent chunk of East Asia
Hold up.
when I was a kid.
Like, that's like a large chunk. That's like half of, like,
That's
almost
it.
half.
Yeah,
Let's say 33% of your before you're a young adult proper. You know, like that's a.
yeah,
So you're like going to school out there?
yeah. English school, obviously. We learned a little bit of Korean and Mandarin along the way, but yeah, it was a great experience. You know, like being able to see like pretty much the other side of the world when we were that young. It was really eye opening, and it just kind of it made it easier to come back and like appreciate so much more about Montreal.
Oh, fair enough. I appreciate the idea of traveling. I just haven't talked to that many people that spent 7 years in Asia, going to schools and being in another culture. Yo, do you have any like super exciting stories?
Oof. I mean, nothing that comes to mind. It's been a while, right? We're going back like, my God,
Yeah.
we're going back like almost 20 years now. But I mean, I can just say that like not so much exciting so much as when I think back to the time in South Korea, like that's a really beautiful country. Traveling, like we'd have to drive through the mountains to get to school every day. Like the temples that we could go walking through, like honestly, it's beautiful country. I'm sure that it's changed a lot since then. Like these days, like Seoul has got like how many, like 20 million people in it. The cities have got to be like huge and like full of stuff to check out. But no, it was really just like up and down the country, absolutely gorgeous. It was really something to see.
And when you were in Montreal, what part of Montreal were you at?
I've been in NDG the whole time.
Say a word.
Yeah, it's like all over. Been a little bit all over the place over the years. Had a few different spots, but grew up next to Concordia, and I've like slowly made my way east into the adult years. Get a little bit closer to the action, a little bit closer to the fun.
That's
Yeah.
fair. All right. So where'd you go to high school when you came back? Just because I ask everybody that from Montreal, and just got some habits. I can't help it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm a private school boy. I went to Loyola,
Say a
so
word.
it was, yeah, right around the corner, right down the street. So yeah, went there for a few years, and then off to Dawson and McGill.
What kind of stuff did you study at Dawson and McGill?
That was pretty much all politics. That's what I've been into from like basically when I was 17, 18, sort of thing. Yeah, 18, 19.
All right. So
So political science, yeah.
what sparked the interest in a young 17-year-old Christian to be like, yo, I'm gonna be a politician?
Not so much, not so much sparking interest as it just so happens that I grew up like right down the street from the person who at the time was our member of the National Assembly, and he was walking by one day and he's like, "Hey, are you into politics?" And I was like, "I don't know, sort of." And he said, "Well, you should come and check it out." And here we are, like 15 years later. I'm not working at the provincial level anymore, obviously, but that's what kind of gave me the initial push, and I started getting involved with his local riding association. Started going to
Hold
a
up.
few political
We're gonna stop.
conventions.
Let's just pretend that not everybody's gonna know your jargon. That is the one thing I've learned doing what I do, is that people use jargon a lot. What exactly does that mean? You went to help him out with his local stuff. Like, just break it down in a way where like
Yeah,
show people what the real experience that you bring to the table is, kind of thing.
yeah. So everyone, no matter where you live, you have a local rep, right? It could be your member of parliament, it could be your member of the National Assembly, it could be your city councillor or your mayor. And usually the way it works is your local rep will be part of a party. I'm currently an exception to that rule. I am living the independent life, have been for the last several months. It's a different life, but very liberating. But we'll get to that later.
Definitely will.
Normally they've got, they're with a party. And so a political party, what they usually try to do is they try to have a presence in every, district or riding or constituency. And that happens with the riding association. It's a group of people that are members of the party that want to contribute and volunteer to the party to help it succeed. And frankly, the main point of a riding association, when we really get down to basics, is to help win elections. Like that's what they're there for. They might not do that much in between elections, but come election time, that's like pretty much what they're there for.
So this is like the street team.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, literally. Those are the people that you can like count on to go put up the posters and knock on doors and drop off mail and stuff like that. So it's really like the people is like the true believers. And that's where a lot of like local political involvement starts. You know, if you're interested in local issues, you might do so with your local councillor or your local mayor. If you're more interested in provincial issues or federal issues, then, you know, you'll go to those associations and be like, hey, you know, I want to get involved. And it can be as easy as that, really.
So what kind of stuff does a person involved in a riding association that's super young back in the day do?
All the grunt work. You know, we make the calls that nobody wants to make. We go pick up donation checks that no one else has the time to pick up, staff events, that sort of thing. It's, you know, everything and anything that like gets you a bit of a view on how things are run, which can be cool because it gives you an opportunity to meet people, and to be exposed to people that normally it would be a little bit more difficult, you know, like political leaders. You know, it's just like, it's not difficult to meet the premier of Quebec or the prime minister of Canada. You just got to join their party's youth wing and show up to a couple of events, and like sooner or later you'll get the selfie. So yeah, you know, it's like, it's basic stuff, right? It's like, it's volunteering. It's helping things move along. And you know, it's yeah, really simple stuff.
I got to imagine that also, especially in these times, for people who may have some extra time, spruces up your CV a little bit, makes it a little fresher.
Yeah, I can definitely spruce up the CV. That kind of stuff is what helped me get my first job. You know, like it really can help. It can make a difference.
We did get a question though, right quick, because it's at the perfect age. You're young, you're getting involved. Were you involved in high school or like CEGEP local politics or whatnot?
No, not really. That's student politics is a whole other. It's a whole other beast. It's a whole other, like, I can send you people that have done the student politics thing. Like, that's a whole other beast altogether. I would not touch that.
That's fair.
It's a crazy world, student politics.
I got a homie that I'm not gonna say his name because it was serious, but he was at the CSU and he said $50,000 bribe one time, and he turned it down. He was like all noble and shit, and I'm like, nobody in my life has used that number outside of the word salary, kind of thing, right? Like,
yes, certainly not for an envelope.
I'm like,
no.
Say word. That's some wild shit. Not that they like did anything. They said no and they did the right things, but still, that was wild.
Yeah, that's some serious money.
But yeah, local real politics. Not to say that they're not real politics, but it feels like the politics that you do is a lot outside of the ecosystem of a school. Thus, is more applicable to the community. That was more what I was trying to convey. Sometimes you gotta
for sure.
catch yourself and then define it before somebody clips you and defines it for you. You know. The modern internet era of live entertainment. But yeah, so you're back then and you're not doing a student grind, but you're getting involved in like the actual local politics. You're networking. I assume you're networking because you're out there meeting these people and you had stories about getting selfies and whatnot. So you're doing the thing. You're putting yourself in the positions to actually see how things work, which is probably advantageous experience, I imagine. And it's nifty because it's like back in the day times. So half that stuff probably isn't even applicable strategies as much as today, which is wild to me to think about.
It's funny because like one of the first words that you said was networking, and I'm like, oh man, now I'm 33 and I hate that word. Are we allowed to curse on this show? Just before,
only reason I'm not cursing in general is because I'm like, I don't know what y'all politicians be at. Like, I don't want to be like having Sue Montgomery look at my stuff and be like, he's unprofessional. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Well, you've got me on the show, so you're probably doomed anyway. But I was gonna say like, I fucking hate that word. Networking is something that so many young people in politics try to do, and it's just such a massive waste of time most of the time, you know.
Why?
It's because it's just people standing around talking to each other for the most part without it leading to anything really positive or beneficial. You know, if you want to learn, if you want to make contacts and connections and stuff, like offer to do stuff, offer offer to work on things, offer to try new things. That's what's going to make the difference. Sitting around and talking, going to your 50th, 5 à 7 or cocktail evening of the year is not going to make a difference. It's and then it gets boring. It gets expensive. If that stuff's not free, it gets expensive. Open bars are always fun, but they're not all like that. And yeah, it's just you learn by doing, not networking.
That's an interesting point. I Googled the definition of networking right quick, and the first one I found is the exchange of information and ideas among. And I'm like, just the exchange of ideas? I'm like, that is kind of what he's saying is problematic. I found another one that says act upon, so fair enough, there could be an act upon, but that's nifty. I think a lot of people do just want to go fill a Rolodex. That's what my LinkedIn experience has been for the last decade of my life.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, LinkedIn. Yeah, dude, LinkedIn is like the networking of social media. And like, if you want to exchange ideas, go to the pub, like go have a picnic on the mountain. Like, there's so many different ways to exchange ideas. You don't have to be like dressed to the nines at a 5 à 7 that looks at like all the other ones with all the same people too. That's the worst part. It's all the same people that you saw at the last networking event. So, once in a while, sure. Okay, great. But if you actually get involved and throw yourself into things, and not just politics, right? But you throw yourself into something with like excitement and an eagerness to learn and to do well, then chances are you're going to network just as kind of a consequence of that.
Big facts. I'm not going to honestly, what you're saying to me has a lot of impact because we can even correlate it back to music. I'm like heavily into the whole hip hop scene, local ones and all that. And why I bring that up is because it's almost like a lot of people treat networking like follow for follow as an effective strategy, which it's not. It's just a way to get your numbers up per se. And even then, nobody's listening. So is it really worth it kind of thing? And you get left
Where's
with
the substance, right?
Or like I realized along the way that people confuse the notions of promotion and marketing as completely synonymous terms. And like a lot of the language gets kind of mixed up. But all you got to do is go to a concert to meet people. Just go to enjoy a show and you're gonna network because you went to a show and you are who you are.
Yeah, that's it. You just do you and like you will attract people.
That's it.
Yeah, man.
So you're like young then, you're going through school and you're like grinding out this whole being a low end political helper. I don't know how else to put it. That's how you kind of describe the
volunteer.
What's the difference between a volunteer and a helper?
Most of the time they are the same thing. Yeah. Yeah.
I like it. I mean, I'm gonna volunteer somewhere I want to help. Like that to me is I was trying to be negative with it, but you're doing the things with the peoples, and then you go on to university. I guess more political science. Is that what happens after?
Poli-sci, and I kept doing the political stuff on the side. It was a lot of politics and political science for a few years.
And then what happens after that? What, like, you finish school and you're like, I'm gonna go be a politician now?
I got lucky actually. Like really, there's that cliche about it's not what you know, it's who you know, and in a lot of lines of work, it is true. And it helped that I had finished my degree, but because of all the time that I had spent volunteering and just getting to know people in this organization, it really helped me to get my first job. So my first job right out of school was working as a political attaché right here in NDG. And it was great. It was close to home, first job, learning the ropes in a way that volunteers don't get the chance to do because I was actually in the office and I was handling, files and stuff. And that was, that was my first gig, and it didn't last too long because in those jobs, there's once you learn the ropes, there's not much else to do. It's just about keeping the wheels turning. But it wasn't too long after that I shifted to the municipal level. So like I got out of school in 10 years ago now. And about a year and a half after that was when I decided, you know what? I've been following things at the local level for a bit. Seems like there's some interesting work that can be done here. So I kind of like took a shift, left my job.
I gotta ask, cause we're the same age. Alright, so I know for a fact at that age, I didn't know a damn thing about local politics or have any real interest in it. What are the local issues that caught like a 22-year-old Christian that made you feel like I'm gonna go make a difference in that? Because I'm personally curious about that.
Fair question. I guess, well, one of the things that's important to state right from the bat is that I'm a bit of a policy geek. Like I like this stuff. I like, you know, I like reading and learning and thinking about how we can improve society. That's what I like to do. That's what got me into politics in the first place. So, I was following things at the city level, and a lot of the stuff that I was already interested in, it was being talked about, at least by some people, right? And I was thinking, that's pretty cool. I'm not liking everything that's being said. But there was like a lot of talk about public transit, a lot of talk about, environmentalism in the city and how to be greener in the city. And at the time that really spoke to me. So, I mean, it still does, but that's really what got me, that's really what got me in. And like, man, like I love to geek out about this stuff. Like before we started this podcast, I was reading about like an essay on how to make government move more efficiently. Like this is just what I do. Like this is what I love. So yeah, that's what kind of piqued my curiosity. And I started talking to people that were involved locally. And they were like, yeah, come on, help us out. And that's how it started.
So you were passionate about the issues that mattered to you, and then I guess by virtue of what you were doing for employment and stuff, you had more exposure to these issues than the average 22-year-old might.
Yeah, I think so. It kind of comes with the work, right? It comes with the job. You can't be totally unaware of what's going on. Like it's kind of like part of the job description to have a general idea.
That's fair.
Although a lot of people are really short on the details. Like I know a lot of people that work provincially and federally, they have no idea what goes on at the city. I mean, they've got, they know garbage pickup and snow removal and stuff, but in terms of like the deeper and more serious work that the city does, even folks that are involved in politics at other levels, they don't really know. They don't understand that machine. It's a totally different machine.
Dude, nobody knows. That's half the reason I'm really excited to be doing this, is because like I'm like, wow, we're gonna find out. Because here's what happened to me. I was like kind of hyping up the fact that I was gonna talk to politicians on some what, like it's kind of a baffling thing for me to just stumble into that by accident. And I started watching people get mad at a bunch of issues, and I'm like, that's federal, that's provincial, and I realized people are not like they're mad at a lot of things, but people don't fully understand that like, Quebec overrides Montreal, or like, Montreal overrides NDG. NDG might, like there's like tiers to like the system to how it all like plays out. So, I mean, even if like, not that many people watch it, whoever does gets to walk away with a better sense for like logistically kind of how it all works, and simultaneously see what you're about. And I know that Sandrine asked a question over on Facebook, and we'll definitely answer it way later on, Sandrine, but I got it, don't you worry. Just gotta,
I know Sandrine. Thanks, Sandrine.
Yeah, Sandrine's cool. She was at the last one too, and she like hit me up and stuff. Like she's a real one. She's on like the cool people list in my eyes.
It's true what you said though. Like I still remember my first campaign on election day. This is like almost 8 years ago now. I was walking out of a voting station, and I crossed paths with a lady on the street. It was like right here in the neighborhood. I said, ma'am, have you gone to vote yet? And she started ranting on, and just like she was clearly pissed. She was clearly frustrated. But she was ranting on about schools. And schools are not a municipal issue. And so they're a provincial issue and or a school board issue, depending on how you approach it, what the specific problem is. And And so I'm standing there talking to this lady. I'm like, listen, like, I feel you. Like, I hear what you're saying. Unfortunately, I can't do anything about it. Like, that's one step above my pay grade. And we could talk about this all day, all night, but you're talking to the wrong person. You want to talk to me about local services. You want to talk to me about the buses not running on time. You want to talk to me about never being able to get a spot in a local gym or swimming pool because they're too crowded. Then we can talk about that. But if your problem's the schools, I know who you can call. I can give you their number, but it's not me. So it's a big challenge. We have different levels of government, and people get confused as to who's responsible for what. And then that just kind of compounds the frustration, right? Because folks feel like they're not getting straight answers when they ask.
Yeah, that's big facts. I mean, I'll be honest. I didn't know what the difference between a mayor and a city councilor was until I talked to Matthew Kerr and he explained it to me. And I'm like, say
Big
word.
difference. Yeah,
That's like,
big
and I'm
difference.
like, and as I understood it, the mayor is like almost like a CEO who assigns projects, and the city councilors are like the VPs who like actually do the work and decide what gets done or not. I'm
I
kind
would
of
just
oversimplifying it because like I don't fully understand it, so like I don't want to like paint it
I would I
poorly.
would I would phrase it kind of differently. I would say that the mayor is the chairman or chairwoman of the board of directors.
Okay.
Okay. Councilors are members of the board of directors. And the top like bureaucrat or civil servant is like the CEO, because that's the person who actually makes things run and runs the machine, right? Like I'm not a manager. Nobody reports to me. I'm a member of the board. I ask questions. Obviously, like I make sure that things are, getting done in my neighborhood and stuff. But like nobody actually, I don't have executive power, right? Like I'm not calling the shots on a day-to-day basis. It's the borough director who's basically our CEO. He's the top guy at the borough who then works through the organization. And the mayor
Hold up. Do we
has
vote
a
for a borough
privileged,
director?
yeah, borough director is basically like the CEO of the
But
borough.
do we vote for that person, or is that how does
No, we do not.
say word? So
We do not.
that person who does the decision making at the actual minutia levels, not how do they get picked?
They get picked by the borough mayor, first and foremost, and approved by council, which is, I think, I've never been in the corporate world, but I'm pretty sure it's similar to how it works in the corporate world, right? Like it's the board that hires the CEO.
Right.
And then the chair of the board has a more direct and regular relationship with the CEO. The other board members just kind of they chime in. Yeah, they might push for policies or projects and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, those things need to be adopted by the board, and that's the council.
Right. Um, that makes a lot of sense. So you have a lot of say in how it happens, but that person is still. We don't have a lot of say. So we pick you, and then you
Yeah.
pick that person, and we have to trust that the you and all the other yous are aligned enough to pick a good person.
Yeah. And like we basically take care of like the high level stuff. We say this is the direction we want to go in. These are the projects we want to do. Now make it happen.
Right. Okay.
And that's the job of the machine.
Understood. And then that's where all the people that end up getting hired by the city in the various roles
Yeah.
come through. Awesome.
Yeah, that's it.
So your job is to just know stuff.
That's actually a huge part of my job. if it, like it, and not least because like a lot of the stuff that people get in touch with me about, it's like just questions, right? Like it's just like sometimes they're not even asking to have things done. They're not even complaining. It's just they're asking, where do I go for this? Or can you tell me a little bit more about that? So a big part of the job really is like behind the scenes, at least it's reading stuff, reading to make sure that I know what the city's actually doing, asking questions and making sure that I know what's going on in the neighborhood, and then just being ready to pass that on to people that live in the district. It's a big part of the job.
Fair enough. All right. So when you get into politics, you're like super young and you're feeling super inspired. How do you actually go about getting involved in a more like I get elected kind of way?
Yeah, that's kind of like that's like a multi a multi-step process. It's again, like most of this stuff happens with political parties, right? Um, what I'm working on right now as an independent is not done very often, and frankly, it doesn't succeed very often. But when you do it with political parties, usually the way it works is political parties will have their own small election open only to their members to decide who's going to run for them in a given area. And then that's the person who becomes the candidate in the election. And so oftentimes you have to win not one, but two elections. You've got to win the one in the party, which is called the nomination. Right. You need to be nominated. And then usually like a few months later, you have the general election where everyone goes out to vote and your name appears on the ballot. Right. So it's like a two-step process.
And you got affiliated with a party at first?
At first, yeah. And so when I first wanted to run, I was 24, and I said, okay, this party, Projet Montreal, looks cool. It looks interesting. They're saying things that I believe in. A little bit of crazy stuff on the side, but mostly good stuff. And so yeah, I'm gonna. Why not? I'll give it a try. And so the first thing I had to do was I had to get enough support from people in the party to actually become the candidate for the party, right? So I had to go out. I needed to speak to members. I needed to sign up new members. That's what happens every time the nomination comes around. You have to sign up new members. You're basically building a big crew behind you, because it's like a popularity contest. Whoever shows up with the most people wins. So you sign up as many people as you can. You convince as many people as you can. And when the party holds the nomination vote, you show up with as many people as you can.
What is a party member? This is the volunteer people are the party members, or is this a separate thing?
There are plenty of party members. No, it's party members, like basically anyone who's willing to pay a few bucks for a membership card.
So you have to become a salesperson to get elected. You have to go generate revenue for your party.
I have to be a salesman.
Say a word.
Politicians are very much salesmen. Yeah. There are a lot of similarities.
That is nifty, man. That would be the hardest part. I don't know if because every time I've ever thought about politics and I thought about like, what, you have to get 250 people, I think, federally to like sign for you to like get in on that level or some shit like that. I'm like, I don't know that I know 250 people right now that would sign for me. And I'm like, that's actually like a lot of people. Like a lot of people. So I'm like, woof.
It adds up. Yeah.
But that also, like, on like a criticism point of view, really skews the type of people that lead in a huge way. Because only a certain, like, cause, there's a lot of skill sets that make hella sense in leadership positions, like, especially in the era of the servant leader in corporate land, where the dominance of the customer service industry is taking out sales in a customer success era, which is super great for me who couldn't sell for anything. But if you bought that, I could keep your money like the best salesman could sell. So, like, it's just a whole different skill set, right? And the way the game was stacked, it's like, you can't get in the door unless you do direct person-to-person selling. And that's kind of a nifty thing. So not everyone's used to it. It does involve a skill set, obviously. Like, there are plenty of people who work in sales for their entire lives and they do, very well for themselves because they're good at that. Yeah.
Politics definitely has that element. And I'm sure that there are lots of people that decide not to do it because they either don't like that part of it or they're intimidated by that part of it. They find it distasteful. Some people are lucky enough to not really have to. Some people are so big already that they get recruited and they'll get they'll be given preferential treatment. They'll be parachuted in, and basically the party leader says, like, I want that person. But that's rare. That rarely happens, that they don't have to do that work, that grind to win that first vote. For everyone else, like, it's just nonstop, and it's all convincing people to sign up, and then all convincing them to come out and vote on nomination day. It's not for everyone, and there's a lot of refusals. A lot of people don't feel comfortable signing up with political parties. A lot of people don't like political parties. I wonder why. There's plenty of reasons. A lot of people say, I still remember a lot of people saying, I'm not going to sign up for the nomination, but if you win the nomination, I'll vote for you. That's really nice. But I got to win the nomination, right? Like, that's the first step. If you don't make the first step, chances are you're not going on to the second. So yeah, it's really tough. It's not for everyone. And if you don't like rejection, then you're probably not going to do it for very long. That's so fair. It's and you're absolutely right. It means that some people who would probably make excellent representatives end up not doing it.
Well, it's more they don't have a chance. They just can't compete. It's like, so like they may, I don't know.
Or they won't.
I do believe that in this era, it's about to be a mad shift into ways where old school salesmen finna have a real hard time trying to compete against the people who are a little like internet savvy. Those people are about to dominate the political landscape in ways that are going to reshape it all, in my little opinion. But
old school salesman, you talking about our friend Denis, or
nah,
we're gonna get to that later?
I swear I don't even have much of an opinion. Actually, he seems to be modern right now with his tactics. He's, if anything, the criticism I've heard of him, because I'm not really following it, is he's being a little too try hard with his adopting of modern tactics.
You see the kicks?
I haven't seen any of it. I just have heard.
There's been a little bit of that. Yeah.
Which is fair enough, but I meant it more like it's everything. It's not just politics. I mean, it's all of it. I mean, federal politics. Look at Jagmeet Singh. He went straight for TikTok, and he's going to actually have a much bigger impact than anyone gave him credit for when they made fun of him. But more people are aware of him and what he believes than anybody's going to give a crap about the people not on TikTok for a certain demo, for a certain age group, for a certain this,
for a certain demo,
And then that will be, if a bunch of kids start talking about it, parents are going to pay attention. Like, it has an impact. And like, I'm not saying I haven't followed anything federally, but I'm saying I know that these tactics play in and they're reshaping it. And I think it has a lot to do with the fact that honestly, I'm looking at the Inception campaigns in Montreal, and I'm looking at the walk around stuff and these pictures of people, and I'm like, man, this is boring. That's why I'm going, the people who will be entertaining with it are ultimately going to win. I care so much about Alex Montenego's trains. I care so much about them now, and I'm more invested in him over trains than anything real. It doesn't make sense, but that's good marketing.
He got you in the feels.
Bro, you just look at it, and first of all, if you've never seen a man put together like a custom train set in your life, like myself, in real life outside of TV, you're just like, that's reels. And he's so passionate about it with 0% fakeness that you can't help but get absorbed into his love of trains, which makes you relate to him more as a human. And then he did that punk's F the system, we're going to go watch the hockey game in the park thing. I went and met him there, and I was like, I understand this person behind the political thing. Whatever, everybody can feel what they want. I don't know enough about it. I'm new to all of this. But what I'm saying is,
I didn't even know that he did trains. Yeah. Like, this is news to me.
I added everybody on Facebook, so I'm just seeing what people post and stuff. But he's doing it, man, and and I'm like, Alex is entertaining me, and I think he cares about things. But he does. He squeezes in his little politics here and there, and I'm like, it's really modern content marketing. But you see it in the shift of like, major companies are going from retail focus to subscription focus. Thus, old school selling doesn't work in a subscription model. It's really more like dating now, in a way that's less aggressive and more modern and consent driven. It's like a whole shift in like attitude that has come through, I find. And so what I'm hoping is that y'all get litty with it and don't make it boring. That's my hope. I'm gonna say it to every politician I talk to that I just be more.
All order. Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know what that actually represents, but like there's got to be cooler campaigning options than just walking around, which seems to be what a lot of people's strategy is right now. That's all I'm going to throw it out there. There just has to be cooler stuff that could exist.
I mean, hey man, you want to record a ping pong like face off, get serious.
Bro,
Like we'll go over to Trenton Park and like that's gonna be it. Get people excited about our mad skills.
Yo, you know what you guys should do is a ping pong debate thing. Like I'd be invested in that. Like if you went against
debate while we play,
you and your lady that's working on Sue's team that's going right against you or whatever, Annalisa, I believe her name is. Imagine you and Annalisa do an actual debate while playing ping pong at Trenholm Park. Are you going to tell me that that won't get more people invested in this? Even if y'all are trash at ping pong, people are going to care.
I mean, I did spend 3.5 years in China, so I'm not trash. It's a cliche, but I mean, they know how to play ping pong. No, I'm not even kidding, man. Like, look, Olympics, like not 2 days ago, the athletes were in tears. Chinese athletes were in tears because they got a silver medal. It was the first time since like 2004 that the Chinese had not won gold in Olympic ping pong. This is a nation of ping pong pros. Yeah, so I'm saying I'm not terrible at ping pong. That's all.
Fair enough. He put up a challenge he knew he'd win. I still think the idea would be cool.
I mean, that's part of politics too, right? You gotta go for the low hanging fruit. You gotta set the stage.
That's fantastic. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff I think would be cooler. Like, I don't know what we can do. Like, I gotta be like not pro anybody, but I'm down to help the overall cause of making it more interesting.
Just the fact that you're doing this is really cool, man. Like, it's not everyone that takes the time, especially 3 months out. You know, most people only wake up to it in like the last 2-3 weeks, and even then, it's, you know, yeah, you rarely see this kind of thing.
So I thought to myself, I'm that person, and then I can't find anything in English, so let's go for it. Let's get it. And my interviews aren't short, so I'm like, let's get it now, because I can't do like that many a week and interfere with my whole life. So like, this was just like a project management approach to getting as many as I could get it, and hope by like closer to the end of it, maybe like a Dennis is like, well, I want to be trendy, and shows up, and I get to like talk to that dude. Like, how like ridiculous would that be? Amazing.
Yeah, you're building up to it. You're building up to it.
Like,
You'll make the pitch.
I want to talk to Balarama. I want to find out stuff about him. Like, you know, like, to me, I want to talk to everybody. That Montreal's as relevant to me as local. Like, I care about that as much.
Montreal, where a lot of big things happen. You know, got a lot of big stuff going on, and a lot of money moves around. There's a lot that happens in Montreal. It's not all just like local. It's not just borough level local. There's a lot going on. Oh yeah, I can totally see Bella on the show. That would be yeah, that would work.
Moro reached out for him on my behalf before he announced his candidacy and said, I can't do that for you. You're on your own now, boy, and ran off to go be a politician. I'm like, well, fair enough. Let me go get a few of these down before I go talk to the big boys politics, right?
There we go. Build it up.
But you get elected that first run? Like, you win the party nomination, or did you not?
I won the party nomination. I did not get elected. I came second. Second out of 7 candidates.
And this is for Loyola still, or a different part?
This was in Loyola. This was 2013. Came second, lost by not much, like 350 votes, give or take. And
I blind voted for Projet Montreal that year because somebody told me to. I fucking swear that's what happened that year for me.
You know, I like that person that talked to you about voting. That's that's good. I like it. You're talking to the right people.
I just or
at least that's what I would have said until recently with Projet and everything. But yeah, no, I didn't win. It was close, but I placed second. I was the runner up, and And it took, 4 years of working on the municipal scene and then running for it again to actually win it.
All right, so let's talk about working on the municipal scene. What does that mean?
I did a little bit of everything, honestly. I worked at the party. I worked at Projet, and I did all sorts of stuff. I organized campaigns. I supported councillors in their work. I was working with mostly with sometimes with people here in the borough, but I was also working in Verdun a lot. I was working lending a hand in like different neighborhoods whenever they needed me. Got to see a lot of the city that way. That was actually really cool. Before 2014, like I knew where Verdun was. I had like not spent any time there.
I relate
No,
to that
serious man.
sentiment
Like
a
I was
lot.
like stuck in like a little bubble that involved like NDG and like most of downtown. Um, McGill boy, what can I say? I didn't explore the city that much. But yeah, I got to get to know like other neighborhoods, other boroughs. I got to work on stuff like all the way up in Montreal North at one point. Outremont, a little bit downtown, Verdun, a little bit in Saint Laurent. It was cool, It's a big city. It's a big city. There's so much to explore. And yeah, so I did a little bit of everything. I did staff work, helped councillors, dig through their files, prep for council, mobilize for projects. The Verdun Beach that was inaugurated recently, that's actually where it is because of basically like a public campaign that we ran back in, I don't know if it was like 2015, 2014, 2015, because originally in Verdun, they wanted to put it way further west, like way, way, way further west, basically on like Lac St. Louis. And we're like, listen, like that's cool. It's a beautiful view, but it's going to be impossible for people to get there. Why don't we make it an urban beach and we put it right down the street from the metro? And that's what we ended up doing because we got like thousands of signatures of people that were in support of that idea. So
Well,
it was that kind of like,
let's pause there.
yeah.
Thousands of signatures is enough to make a difference.
Oh, it doesn't even take that much. Depending on what you're talking about, man, you can get stuff done with a few hundred.
Let me ask
Easy.
a better question. How does one do a real survey that matters? Because I get the feeling like change.org isn't exactly the move.
No, change.org. A lot of people hate on change.org. I hate on change.org.
I hate on them because of their monetization.
Okay, I hadn't even thought about the monetization. I was thinking about how change.org, it makes it easy to inflate the numbers.
Facts.
Like we had competing, like here in the neighborhood last year, we had competing change.org petitions for an issue that got a lot of people really riled up. And, there were people that signed these petitions that didn't even live in the country, let alone in the neighborhood. Like it's just the numbers don't mean anything. Oh, you got 3,000 change.org petitions? Good for you. Like I could do that in my sleep. It makes no difference, right? But we got
just to like emphasize, because people may not know what you're saying. Change.org is to the world. So when you get 3,000, it's out of the world. It's never localized. They don't just go like, here's you live in Côte Saint Luc. There's no IP vetting. There's nothing. It's just you sign up and then you share it on Facebook. It goes viral for XYZ reason or local viral or whatever. And then you hit up your homies and et cetera, and it's not real. Like those aren't really like authentic. Whereas like I believe in signature person, like you have to vet it with the postal code type thing, like adds that extra layer to it.
So it adds that layer of locality. It's a really important part. And frankly, change.org, I'm just going to say it's lazy. It's lazy. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to get up from your couch. Like I said, I can cuddle up with my cat on a Saturday night, and in 15 minutes I've got a change.org petition that like it's not that's not required any effort to come up with, to write, to distribute. it's the lazy person's petition, and it doesn't even do a good job. So you want to do a real petition, you get out on the ground, you print out sheets, and you actually knock on doors, or you go onto Main Street and you ask people to sign. Like, that is real petition gathering. And that's local activism, local democracy in action. That's serious stuff. And that's something that we should respect, because that takes time. It takes energy. It's thankless work. You know, you got people rushing by saying, like, sorry, I don't have the 30 seconds that you're asking for to read your text, listen to your issue, and then maybe give you my signature. Like, it can be tough, you know, but people still do it. And it does make a difference, because you don't need that many signatures in a real petition, with a real petition, to really make a difference.
Let's say I want to petition stuff in an NDG, because, well, I have a couple things in mind. Let's say I wanted to petition something like For Real Rails and organize it and run that. What would be like a number of signatures you'd want to target before, like, somebody like Christian Arseneault goes, okay, say a word, that's legit?
No, it depends on what you're looking to do, right? Like, I'll give you the low end, I'll give you a high end, and then we can talk maybe about in between, right?
Cool.
The low end, if I get like 30 signatures on a petition on one street of people saying cars are driving too fast down our street, we want speed bumps, 30 signatures, and we're good to go. All right, you're on the list for next year, no questions asked. Okay, that's the low end. The high end, look at what Ballarama did. It wasn't just Ballarama. He was working with a lot of people, but he was one of the main faces of the operation. They collected 22,000 signatures to force the city of Montreal to hold a public consultation on systemic racism and discrimination. 22,000 signatures across the city. Like, that's a lot of signatures. That's a lot of standing out on the street and knocking on doors, you know? And then in the middle, you know, you want to get a local project going. I don't know. It's kind of tough to say. Can be in the hundreds. Hundreds would go a long way. You know, if you're like hovering upwards of 500, 1,000, 2,000, like, that's a lot. When it's really local people that live here and you can demonstrate it, that's a huge show of support for like a local project or a local, like, some kind of idea that you want to see. So it really kind of depends on what you're trying to do, you know?
I appreciate that. Yeah, I like what you just said there, especially about change.org. Just, if you ever wanted to know, they sell survey services to businesses for reach. So half these surveys you get in your email, a company, a lobbyist, a corporate lobbyist, put money into change.org to brainwash you. Sorry, I didn't say that bluntly, but that's what's happening. That site is awful and evil, and people love it.
It went corporate.
It's been since time. It was never clean. Like, these companies never.
I don't know. So it's been around for so long now.
Medium
I don't even
is
remember
owned
how it started out.
So, like, if you look at Medium, which is the news site that is mostly known for its open-minded liberal perspective, is owned by two conservatives who understood the clickbait value of it and effectively were a huge hand in creating modern sensationalist clickbait marketing. It had nothing to do with the causes.
That's really sad.
It has everything to do
with
CTRs and, you know, ad revenues, what is it, like cost per mile, all this other cost per mil, all the things they do.
Cost per click or something, yeah.
CPM, CPCs, all this stuff. So it's like, yeah, but the paywalls are all separate now. But back in the day, before there were paywalls, advertisers were throwing money at this. So in like 2012, when a lot of these sites started, oh my gosh, B2B was like, people would throw so much money at this stuff. Because, people would throw money at a change.org. Then they flip that data into a white paper. And then they put that into B2B acquisition models. And for like an $80,000 investment in change.org, you can make $500,000 in sales. That's how B2B corporate land works in terms of the data in where, like, nothing I said is fake or hyperbolic. I don't have any specifics. It's just how this game works. And with the Medium thing, it was like, the fact is, sites like that tend to be really dark on the data game. Like, they're really...
I'll believe it. Yeah. They must defend that stuff. Like, they're not sharing that with anyone if they don't have to.
Or like the way they manipulate it and create narratives. Like, people think change.org is good, so nobody thinks about the fact that nothing that big is free.
Yeah.
You know, like,
well, if it is free, what's that line about social media? If something's free, then it's because you're the product.
big facts. And change.org collects data on everybody. So, like, think about it. You have to sign up, give them your things. You go through Facebook.
And so, yeah, you give emails. Sometimes it happens through social media, so they can pull more of your data that way. When you give, okay, this is like a public service announcement. When you give anyone your postal code, they can practically pinpoint you on a map.
Say
okay.
Word.
I don't think people realize just how much they can pin down your location from a postal code. A standard postal code covers one side of one block. If they have your name and your postal code, how many Holden Roys live on your block? You know, if they have even one other list, then they're going to know exactly where you live.
That's
So public service announcement. If you can, when you're at the grocery store, or you're at the cash paying for something at a store downtown, like, oh, can we please have your postal code? No, you cannot have my postal code. I know exactly what you're going to do with that postal code. You're going to take my name. Oh yeah, dude. It's insidious. And they ask it like it's no big deal, because they know that people have no idea just how much precision you get from a postal code.
I mean, it's like not that astounding to me when I think about all the times I Googled my postal code. But like, you know, like there's 4 buildings on my side of the street of that one block. There are 4 or 3 possible buildings it could be that I live at.
So they've got you down to those 3 buildings, you know? Like, that's some fairly precise geographical information.
Yep. And then,
so yeah, never give your postal code if you don't have to.
That's legit. Do you want postal? Okay, let's say I'm doing a survey. Do I want to get people's postal codes? Like, I'm collecting, and I'm saying it legitimately
yes.
because I believe this is part of how you prove where people live, and I know it's
true.
I know, because I know it's weird that we just said that, but I mean, it's also like, yeah, like
it's a proof. It's a proof of residence, right? Like, although oftentimes there is an honor system to it, right? Like, if I submit, if I go and get signatures on a few blocks in the neighborhood and I submit them, I don't think there's anyone on the back end that's saying, oh, well, they said that they live with these postal codes, but we're going to go and try and find out and make sure.
Yeah.
When you sign these things, you're basically going according to the honor system, but it does help, it really does help. And that's one of the ways that you can see when change.org petitions are being signed by people from God knows where, because they often put their postal codes or they'll put their city, and you just see like, listen, like, I think it's great that someone in Madrid has decided to sign this petition for something in NDG, but like, frankly, I don't care what they think, like, pay a little more attention to what's happening in Madrid, dude. Come on. So yeah, it can be useful, but it can also be abused. And especially when it's happening in a commercial setting, do not give your postal code. When it's happening in a civic setting, sometimes like it can be good to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I accept that. I also figure the government already knows where I live, so they can get my postal code
generally.
Like, file my taxes, they update shit. Can't be that hard for Montreal.
That's a really good point though, because what petitions do, petitions typically are not done by government per se. Petitions are usually done by politicians and political parties, and they're done separately from government. They're done in order to direct government action, right? They're done to say, hey, government, we want you to invest in this project, or we want you to change these policies, but they're done by political parties. And that's something that every political party does as much as possible. Usually easier to do when you're opposition, right? Because if you're in power, then what the hell are you doing petitions for? You're in power. If you want to do something, you try to do it. But if you're in opposition, you don't have the power. So you need to push the people who are in power to do things that they might not want to do. So, it's a tried and tested voter contact strategy. Say like, yo, we're going to do petitions on anything and everything. We're going to get 50 signatures here. We're going to get 200 there. And over the span of 4 years, it's going to add up. And it'll tell us what people find important. It's also going to tell us people's postal codes and email addresses and phone numbers and stuff. So now once we get into election mode, we can contact those people more easily and say, hey, remember us? You signed a bunch of our petitions. We agree on things. You like us. Vote for us.
That is literally what rappers should be doing.
It can work for anyone. I'm sure it can. You got to tweak it. But it's very effective.
I don't know what
it's
you
very
have to
effective.
tweet there. You tease your song. What do y'all like? It's like a petition. Da 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 da. You run it through. At the end of the day, it's the same end goal, same general sense. You either
crowdsourced hip hop.
You either have the power. Well, that's what the future of all media is. Like Patreon is ruined the game. Nobody's gonna sell records. It's gonna all be subscriptions. Twitch is forcing subscription models. Like, the biggest thing I'm trying to tell everybody is, stop trying to sell things. Sell yourself. That's the only thing left to sell is yourself, because social media has made us the product. Let's sell ourselves then. It's weird, but like, you can get more reliable money finding subscribers than you ever will trying to resell commodities over and over again, especially in an eco-friendly-ish world of waste reduction.
I mean, I hear you on the eco-friendly. I guess the only challenge there is that, like, I guess I worry because of like the Spotify tendency, right? What we've seen with Spotify is that most of the listens go to the most well-known music stars, right? Like, I know artists that are on Spotify. They're small local artists, and they tell me like, listen, you could sit your phone on your table and play my album you could loop my album all day long, and I'll get like, 50 cents or something, right?
They will get more than 50 cents. I digress, but
okay.
But actually,
but it just goes to show, it's kind of like oftentimes the platforms can be skewed to the people that already have the exposure.
I guess, but I'd argue 9 times out of 10, every one of those people you talk to, if I were to talk to them, they wouldn't like how I felt about their position, because I don't think they're correct. I can get, if you run it properly and you kind of employ the tactics of going out there and promoting yourself in a way where you can build relationships with people, now you get 15 people that actually do spin your shit like every 8 hours a day.
Oh yeah.
And now all of a sudden, by doing the things that your ops, the main stars, are doing, you actually can just play their game. But the issue is, a lot of these people are actually as lazy as change.org in their tactics. So they're doing the change.org version of promotion, and they're really upset that, honestly, people like me decided to create platforms to go talk to politicians to get clout as a rapper. So you're competing against that in this world. And
yeah, that's fair. If you think outside the box and do some analog, old school legwork, like the petition method, right? Like, you get out there and you get people to either sign up, or you get that human contact. I'm sure that could make a huge difference.
It's what it is. I want to go to parks and rap in parks and stuff more than I want to go sit in a bar by myself isolated, because who's gonna see you in a bar? Nobody goes to bars no more.
Have you been to NDG Park at night lately? Dude, they got ciphers. They've got breakdancing.
It's on Wednesdays that they do this.
Yeah.
I went a 1-2 time. I went into the cipher and I realized that sometimes you have to be humble. I'm gonna get punched in the face if I don't play this right, because I was really cocky, and I walked in and I destroyed that, and I made sure everybody knew I felt I was the best MC in that circle. And then I left that and I said that might punch me in the face if I'm not careful, kind of thing. And not anyone in particular, but I realized, I gotta be smarter than just letting my ego run it. Meanwhile, totally did what I had to do. But I definitely walked in and I know somebody gave me a look but I also just flat out did not like what they were rapping about, so I directly commented on it, and it is what it is. But it's an amazing experience. But over there, you actually can have interactions, because it is a bunch of people hanging out and doing stuff, and it gives you an opportunity to go present yourself to other people, and instead of worrying about it. Bro, Spotify is a promotional tool so you can get Patreons. Everyone's looking at it wrong. You know what I mean? Everybody's just doing it wrong because it's a subscription world now and it has nothing to do with retail. Nobody was selling records in 2005. Why did you think in 2021 you were going to start selling records? You know,
got it backwards.
That's how I see this stuff. What's your favorite podcast? Comes from Lord Francis III.
From Lord Francis. Well, thank you, Lord Francis. Oh, this is funny because it's my girlfriend who's the podcast addict. I go with one of the classics, especially for stuff that impacts cities. Like 99 PI is pretty solid for stuff like that. Like some of the episodes that they did on like hidden design in cities and the kind of stuff that we don't notice in our day-to-day lives when we're moving through them, that stuff just like that tickled my brain. That was awesome. I found a recent discovery that was pretty cool that's called Hood Politics, which is basically this guy who is explaining international politics, national politics. It's mostly for an American audience, but this guy basically explaining it using language and analogies and points of reference that would make more sense for his audience, which is like, you know, it's more urban, it's more multicultural, it's people that don't get brought up with the same like political jargon and vocabulary as me. But his whole argument is basically like, everyone can understand this stuff. We need to be presented it in the language that we use.
Yeah, I never liked an Obama speech one time. That guy's the king of flowery freaking it's behind.
Oh, this is like real talk. This is actually it's I'm only like 2 episodes in, but well worth it. It's great politics.
To Lord Francis is because it's behind that suit, is because I rap in suit, and now we're in the part where it's the human being behind that suit. Get it? See, it totally makes sense if you like understood that part about me, which you might not. That's why it's called
behind that suit.
Yeah, it's because I was rapping a suit. So if you catch me at some rap day, I'm in a suit. That's not like that means I'm there to rap. If I'm not in a suit, I rap. If I'm not in a suit, I wasn't expecting that shit.
Now I understand. I did not understand.
Yeah, it makes sense if you get it, I suppose. But I don't try very hard to explain all the weird jargon I'm creating for myself.
It just kind of comes out at some point.
Yeah, and then for those who are there, it's all good. No worries about anything, man. This is supposed to be like the casual. Most people find politics super boring and they use a lot of gated language. So let's move around that kind of stuff. Honestly, I really dig that approach to it because like I was saying about Obama, like, yo, you would listen to that guy say 3 sentences in a row, and if you cut out the adjectives, he said literally nothing. Just freaking out a word for word level, he would say nothing. And I used to go to the gym and he'd be talking at lunch. So I would just read the like, you know, like when the TV at the gym has the subtitles pop up for some reason, it would be like that. Yeah. And so you're actually reading it and you're like, yo, this guy doesn't say anything. He says nothing, but it sounds so good, like vapid lyrics to a song.
I mean, Obama was also a damn good speaker. Like he may have said nothing at times.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes. But he was damn good when he said it. Well, and that's something that like most people don't become good at, like real substantive political communication. That's why I liked Hood Politics, because Hood Politics just presented it in really straightforward terms. No jargon, no bullshit, you know, just like easy points of reference. And then like people can understand this stuff. It's the jargon that often keeps them out.
Absolutely. It's in every level of life, and academia is worse than everyone else. Academia is the biggest villains in this, in my opinion.
I could not agree more.
Like,
I could not agree more.
Like, why on earth is your peer-reviewed study paper? And why is it so hard to understand what you're saying there? Nah, you guys could hire me to write that and make it accessible, but then you can counter that I put in 15. It shall relax yourself. You just like the fact that you know better jargon in your field than I do. And that's a real thing. Yeah,
man. That's common everywhere. It happens in all the professions. It happens absolutely everywhere. And it doesn't have to. I'd say one of one of the the best signs of not just like intelligence, but like a clear desire to like communicate with people and reach people is when people intentionally frame whatever they're talking about in regular language, no jargon. Because when you get caught up, whether it's in academia or law or politics, like it can be easy to just like adopt the jargon and then you don't even think about it, right? It happens to me all the time. But to deliberately express it in regular language, it really takes you making like a deliberate choice, right? You need to decide to do that. You need to be conscientious. And some of the best communicators, especially political leaders, know how to speak to people in just like those straightforward human terms. Cut out the jargon, cut out the crap, and everyone's going to be a lot happier. But it's tough to do, you know? I'm sure I fall into jargon all the damn time without realizing it.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm probably guiltier of it than I want to admit. I just try to be cognizant of it. That's why I swear a lot in a lot of environments, because then if people really listen, they're gonna like, it's weird, but like it kind of forces you to express stuff differently if you use the word shit 17 times in your explanation, because now you really got to be apt with everything else, or all of those individual shits won't mean what you want them to mean.
Won't really mean.
But if you say it all right, it'll work. Like,
yeah.
So
you need to wrap the shit in the right words.
Absolutely. And by doing that, I don't know, I'm into like manipulating language like that a lot, but I do think there's a lot of value in like being clear and not focused on getting the knowledge of stuff. But that's all fun and good. But let's go back to you. So you run your first thing, and then you spend 4 years after that run campaigning on your reputation, I guess.
Like working on the scene, right? Like working with Projet, working for the party. Actually, it wasn't 4 years, it was 3 years, day for day, because at the beginning of 2017, I left my job at the party because I wanted to start building my campaign to run again. And
how do you? And then I worked on that.
I mean, what I said before about, you know, finding people, signing them up, getting the word out, and then, you know, obviously everything else that comes with it for the general, you know, like finding people that are willing to donate, to support. You know, campaigns take teams. You got to have a team. You got to be organized. Like, you think about Obama, you may not have liked what he was saying, but the guy was running a hell of an operation when he was running for president.
I didn't like his excessive use of adjectives to code his language in very deliberate ways. I can't. That's my preference.
That is very clear and precise criticism. And what you were saying about being concise, I would also add brief. Politicians often don't know when to shut up, and again, I fall prey to it from time to time as well. But to this day, I'm convinced that I'm one of the only politicians that tries to prepare my remarks when I'm speaking in council, when I'm speaking at like an official thing, and I try to keep it short and sweet. I don't want to say anything that's superfluous. And the fact of the matter is, when you want to get your point across, if you do it clearly and concisely and with brevity, you can say a lot in a very small period of time. And I hear so many veteran politicians, people who've been here for decades, who get up and they start talking and they just say nothing. They're not saying anything. And they don't say anything for 10, 20, 30 minutes. It's crazy. So yeah, concision and brevity. That being said, you need to put together an organization. You need to put together a team. So that's what I worked on in 2017, and you know, I think it made a difference because, you know, I was saying earlier, you got to win those 2 elections, right? You've got to win the party nomination first, and then your name's on the ballot for the general elections in November. And there were 3 other people. There were 4 of us that were running for the Projet nomination in Loyola. four of us, and it was a preferential ballot. So instead of just checking off one name, which is what we usually do when we're voting, you could rank your choices. You could say, okay, he's number one, he's my favorite. She's my second. And you could, so for four people, you would essentially take three choices and the last one just doesn't get counted. So four candidates, we had a preferential vote, and it came down to the last ballot when, two other candidates had been eliminated. And that was the day that organization and teamwork made a difference, because I won that nomination vote by 2 votes out of almost 300 people who showed up. And sometimes, people say that cliche that, every vote counts. Sometimes every vote really does count. sometimes like, if even one or two people had, and like for the 2 weeks after that, every time I ran into people in the neighborhood, they'd be like, oh yeah, we made the difference, right? And it's like, yeah, you and everyone else. It's a collective thing, like if anyone hadn't shown up that day, I would have lost. So yeah, like campaigns matter. You need to have a team. You can't do it by yourself. And I'm lucky. I've gotten to work with a lot of really great people in the neighborhood. I feel a lot of love. A lot of people that have been with me since 2013 stuck with me in 2017. They stuck with me even when I left the party last year and decided to go independent. Yeah, good people.
So how many 27, 8-year-olds get party nominations like that at the municipal level? Is that like a common thing?
It's not very common for young people to run. Like we do get elected. We do get nominations, not always in winnable seats, but we can be candidates. A lot of young people run as candidates. A lot of young people who want to show that they're willing to really put in the effort for a party because they want to build their status and their stature in a party. They'll run for the party in an unwinnable seat or a seat that's very unlikely to win, just to show that they're willing to put themselves out there. And that's saying something, man, because that is your name and your face that is plastered all over a corner of town. It's a very public loss when you lose. And so to do that, it takes guts. But it's not that often that young people win. I think when I got elected in 2017, there were 2 or 3 of us at city council downtown out of 65 that were under the age of 30.
Yeah, serious. Because
there's not many people that get elected at this age. I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky to be able to do this at a young age, because most people, a lot of people don't try. They're working on building their careers in other ways, or they're focusing on other projects, It can be difficult because running is like a financial risk. If you take time off work and then at the end of it, you might not have a job. It's really risky for people. It's really stressful for young parents, young families. It's one of the reasons why historically it's been very difficult to get women to run. Men are always saying, oh yeah, I could do it. I'd be great at the job. But with every party that I've worked with, there's always had to be more, outreach to female candidates saying, we will help you win. We will give you the support you need, because it's a big risk. And it's really challenging to run for office. So yeah, I'm one of the lucky ones. There aren't many young people, although there are some amazing young people who got elected in Montreal. I think of a guy like Younes Boukala in Lachine. He got elected at 22 or 23. I love that guy. He's amazing. He does great work. And it just goes to show that you don't need to be older or more experienced in life to do good work for your community. This guy's 22 years old. He was finishing up his university studies while being a councillor, and he was able to do both. So, you know, it's not something that we should just leave to older people.
That's one hell of a job to have while in school.
Yeah, I don't know how he does it. I don't know how he does it, but he does it.
Yo, but that's like super nifty because like if y'all are old, not you, but like your whole squad be old. That's got like some issues for why nobody gives a crap about some of the young people stuff a lot of the time, and why the elections are so done. But also,
old people vote. Old people vote. Let's call it like it is. Young people don't vote. It's a terrible thing, and I still haven't figured out. I haven't figured out how to change that.
Yeah,
people our age.
Nobody cares.
Got to make it fun. How do you make voting fun? I still haven't figured it out. Maybe the ping pong thing will work.
Honestly, talk to your local artist. Like, okay, I don't know how legal or illegal this is, but like I've been telling everybody this. Hire some rappers. Make your freaking campaign points down. Put some of that like budget money back into your community. Whole bunch of MCs up in NDG, right? Obviously, I can't be the one now because I'm coming up here and talking to y'all, but I have friends and whatever. I'm not going to say whatever, but hire some people and be like, yo, get like, let's say y'all each picked a rapper and you set up a rap battle debate based on your politics and issues, and the rappers have to, like, do some interesting stuff. This is for all of you. And I'm like,
it's outside the box, man. I like it.
But that's cool. But that's how because I was going to think, Loyola, you have a huge advantage because it's a university full of residents of young people. Like, it's probably got like a lot of young people that live next to the university, right? Like,
not that many actually.
Really?
Mostly downtown. Yeah, there's a couple of campus residences still. And yeah, like some people live nearby, but really not all that many. Yeah, it's too bad.
So who lives here? You're a city councillor, man. You know who lives here demographically.
Yeah, I mean, we got a little bit of everything. Loyola is a really diverse district, that's for sure. We've got more and more like new arrivals, new immigrant families from just about everywhere. But some of the big groups, we've got a growing Iranian community, Chinese, Russian, Romanian, Filipino. Decent sized Korean community. We've got like people from really everywhere. A growing Iraqi community, Ethiopian, Eritrean. And then of course, we've got NDG is one of those neighborhoods where, like people who grew up here often stay here, or they might leave for a little while and come back. So, we got a lot of folks that have spent like 20, 30, 40 years living in this neighborhood, mostly Anglos, obviously, although more and more Francophones as well. And we've got young people as well, like for sure we do. But young people tend to spend less time in one spot. We're a little bit more transient. We move around. We decide where we want to go before we get settled. That's the kind of the phase of life that many of us are in. And I think partially as a result of that, we've got a really diverse neighborhood, but it's only some like certain people who vote. And, the people who vote are older. They're usually like upper middle class. They usually own their homes. They usually own cars. You can see some big differences in terms of voter turnout. Like people that live in apartment buildings are substantially less likely to vote. Younger people, substantially less likely to vote.
That's because I get things in my mailbox that talk about mortgage rates, and nobody talks to me about anything that matters to me. And I mean that legitimately. Like, why are y'all dropping off pamphlets in my apartment mailbox about homeowner-related fiscal issues? Like, I mean, I get maybe I need to be aware the tax rate went up because it's going to hit me in my rent. But, like, see, that's the issue. It's like everything's based off of this, like, and it's not even just like a politics thing. Marketing does the same damn thing all the time. Marketing goes,
the targeting's off, right?
Oh, look at that. The average watch time is down. It must mean that people have no attention spans. So they spent like 20 years building narratives off of stuff instead of accepting the fact that they were just boring the whole time, and everyone has attention spans if you're interesting. And politics kind of like said young people are never going to care. That's my whole life. I've been listening. I'm 33, and I've had my whole life basically having old people tell me I'm in theory not voting, even though most people I know like at least have some interest in the political process, some interest. But then like if you're an English politician here, you have to like, well, nobody talks to the English people, so I don't know about the French side. I legitimately have
Very
zero
few,
idea
yeah.
what the French side
At
is
the
up
city
to.
level, yeah.
No idea. Couldn't tell you. For all I know, on the French side, stuff is super dope. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. But I know that over here and on the English side, it's like there's no information. And like even you, like you don't have an egg. You don't have like couldn't find, or if you do, I couldn't find it. Couldn't find stuff on you. I'm like, how?
Oh yeah, dude, I'm old school. Like I'm terrible with stuff like that. Like I've got my girlfriend's in communications and marketing, and like she can't get over the fact that I'm not on Insta, like I'm
It's
not on
baffling.
TikTok. I'm like I am an old fogey, man. I'm an old school guy in a young person's body. It's terrible, and I know it's terrible. Just like
probably how you got elected.
well, I mean, if you want to get into that conversation about how so much of social media is fucking evil, then pardon the language, but it's terrible. I hate it, and I only do it. It is a tool, but it's also a tool that is very dangerous. And I've seen the ways in which it's dangerous, and it's not just here. You know, you see it like Jesus, Twitter. Oh my God, like. You want to talk about
Twitter
echo chambers where nothing useful is said? Like go on to Twitter. Twitter's good for like sports, stand-up comedy, and like hobbies. You don't talk politics on Twitter because there's nothing healthy that's being said. There's no healthy civic discussions. Facebook, borderline. Facebook is borderline. I think Instagram can be cool because
Instagram's
you can really
actually
highlight.
dope.
Yeah, you can like highlight like local stuff in a much simpler way, you know. I don't have that reflex, but like I try, you know. I'm just like I hate social media, so I only half try. But man, like if I wasn't in this job, if I didn't need social media for work, I probably wouldn't be on social media. I'd say like to hell with that.
I respect that. I hear what you're saying. I think that there's a lot of dangers in social media because there's a lot of ignorance surrounding it. And if we like
a lot of anger too, you know. You get people acting in ways, and again, not judging, right? Like I've been this way myself, right? You get me on the phone, you get me face to face, chances are we're gonna have a great conversation. But when people get behind their keyboards, there is a pretty decent chance that they're gonna be a bit of an asshole. And we see it. We see it everywhere, man.
COVID, okay, I'm going to say COVID shifted the attitude of the whole world a little bit. And, like, on the reels, I see a lot more empathy. And Facebook jail, I like Facebook jail. Because I've never gone to Facebook jail because I don't say the kind of stuff that puts you in Facebook jail, people out there.
I like that.
It's a real thing. So here's what happens. Person says an attacking thing. It's always an attack. I've read hundreds of comments where people went to Facebook jail. They go this. You're and insert something, or they say all people, and it's always some absolutionist statement. They always do it, every single one from this, and then other people flag them and say this is bullying. That's what happens. It's democratic. Facebook is actually a little democratic like that. It's not as automated as the first one. The first time you did it, it's because you pissed off enough people that said you're an asshole that Facebook now knows you're an asshole. Then Facebook goes so hard on you that you can't even say certain things, and it has a lot of preferences of how it's got some racism built into this, a few other issues as it's evolving. But what it's basically doing is if you say some wild attacking level stuff, like if you start attacking people, you go to Facebook jail. And for 30 days, you can't log in. And I've watched the impact it's had, and everybody's toned down. Because, like, here's the thing. People acted like Facebook is private, and it's like being in a park. So everybody's, like, in a park yelling inflammatory things.
It's the public square, yeah.
Now, imagine everybody learns their little lesson now, and over the next year, we all get a little more civil with it. Now Facebook's blessed. Because, my Facebook's not like that. I don't interact with stuff that's like that, and I don't ever respond to people in a way where I'm also really good with how I answer you. I will customer service you into oblivion, and you will not be able to come back at me. But like,
kill them with kindness. Yeah.
Not necessarily kindness, but I pick my words so carefully because everybody just does the semantic debate game, and it's so boring.
Yeah.
It's a boring game on Facebook. However, it's so good for brand building because you get to just constantly have your like positions and your ideas and your flowing. So if you can find a way to create civil discourse by often just how you respond to people, right? Being civil with it, they look dumb. You also have every right to say, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Like, I don't want to talk to a cat lady the other day. And then she wanted to talk to me. And I'm like, why do you want to? I told you I don't want to talk to you. And she kept and then I just ghosted her in the middle of the conversation because I decided I didn't want to keep doing this. And I told her at the jump, I didn't want to do this. And I have no obligation to finish the conversation with you. And that's the thing where, like, Facebook people kind of like you don't have to respond. You just don't have to do it.
Normally, I would agree with you.
Maybe you might literally have to because you're
part of the challenge from like it's one of the things where like I've started telling people like, you know what, if you want to discuss this, we can have a call. I will come to meet you. I will come to your house and talk about it with you. Like I will give you my time and energy. Even a private message can go a really long way. But having a lot of these discussions in public in ways where like, even if the person who asks the original question is like, or expresses the original frustration is relatively content, there's always someone that jumps on. It's just a numbers game, right? So I have like, it's difficult for me in my position to say like, no, like I'm not going to do it. I've still said that. I've told people like, no, I'm not going to be answering every single thing on the groups. Like, y'all know how to reach me, right? Like, Facebook isn't the only way to reach me. If you have a real problem and you want a solution, then you got to get in touch. And then we'll talk about solutions because I'm more than happy to work with people to find solutions. But if all you want to do is post and argue with strangers on Facebook, I'm not going to be a part of that. And a lot of elected officials have a lot of trouble with that. I know people that have been serving for years and years, and they're leaving politics because they're done with the social media, like the trouble, the stress, man. Like it's real. It's not there for everyone. But when the expectation is that we respond to everything, and we get in trouble if we don't because, oh well, what are you doing on Facebook if you're not gonna respond? For elected officials, that can be a pretty tough thing to balance, and it can be a risk to say, no, I'm not going to do this anymore. Like that's what I basically did a year and a half ago. I said, you know what? I'm going to keep in touch with people on Facebook. I'm going to give them the heads up. I'm going to share what I'm working on. I'm going to share all sorts of good stuff as much as possible. Good news, because even in bad times, there are good things going on. We just got to look for them. But if people start going off, like, no, you can't feed the trolls, you can't feed the trolls.
I feel like though, like everything you said is acceptable. And like, I mean, I'm part of Thrive NDG. It has 7,500 members in it. And that is
most of them are okay.
Not even 10% of NDG. And that's assuming that everyone there lives in NDG. And I know for a fact at least 3 people don't.
Yeah, at least 3. Yeah, for sure.
So that's not even a reflection of anything. It's like a drop in the bucket. Yeah. And I think like people attribute, especially in online communities, they think their voice is important. And I'm like, no, it's not. I mean,
and when you consider the fact that like it's a much smaller.
Relax, Moro, with your 7.6K. Still 7.6K out of what? The greater Montreal area.
Is Moro fact checking you live?
He did. He just fact checked me live. Because I said 7.5.
Moro.
It is what it is. At least he's here watching. And it's blessed. And it's an amazing group in terms of the accomplishment of it. And it's super cool. But if 100 people in that group are mad at me, okay.
And it's usually the same 100 people. That's something else I've learned. You want to talk to people, go reach out to people. A lot of people appreciate it. I've been doing that more. I've been reaching out to people one-on-one, and so many of them, I'll be like, oh, hey, I thought I'd add you. I saw you in the groups. We know a lot of the same people. I figured you probably live in the neighborhood. So many people are like, hey, that's really cool.
Bro,
thank you for doing it. Yeah, man. People love that. Yeah, for sure.
So I think you can get away with saying, I don't want to engage in this public discourse. Feel free to DM me as much as you freaking want. And no, because this part of my day job is actually to like tell agents how to answer angry people on our Facebook ads and things like that. So if you really run the law of numbers thing, most people, you're never answering on Facebook. The rule of thumb is you are never answering the person. You're always answering the audience.
The wider audience, yeah.
And that person,
I've had people remind me of that more than once
and so
recently.
And no matter what happens in that conversation, I can tell you one thing: if I don't see your name, I'm not going to think of you, and you might be misplaying this a bit in terms of younger people. Like if I don't see you, I'm getting to know Alex Montenegro. I don't know how to say his fucking name. I'm getting to know
Montagano.
It's because it's like the Count of Monte Cristo and a few other things pop into my head all at the same time, and it fumbles me a bit. Like, and you know, his personality exudes through the way he interacts with people, and he don't care who likes him or hates him, and I appreciate that. Moro's doing his little like, I'm gonna post me and Matthew walking around NDG being troopers together campaign, and I'm being reminded of places I once ate at back when they were like pre-elder times. And you know, I think you ate somewhere too recently, or you went on a podcast with somebody, and I'm like, who's this NDG winning podcast, my guy? Let's talk. I want to know who you are because you're a podcast. You know, like, so it's like that kind of stuff. I think makes you look more present. And I don't know.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be like hot topic. In fact, I would argue I would love to see, if I were to say this, my local politicians telling me like what they do that's not political.
Yeah, that's fair. That's totally fair. It's a difficult balancing act, you know. It's like, yeah, I think I've gone through kind of like phases where I've maybe put up a little bit more personal stuff and just, you know, day in the life sort of thing, because it's social media. Like my friends are on there too, you know, and I don't want to just bombard their feeds with political stuff. Nobody wants that.
Fuck your friends. No offense to yourself. When we're talking about social media, you have to get to the part where you're like, no, this isn't personal. There is a zero part of everyone's social media that is 0% personal ever, and everyone is wrong about this since time. Just because you don't understand,
age is past, huh?
Just because nobody understands Facebook because they believe the hype doesn't change the reality of social media. You're doing it to accomplish something, just like everyone else is. It's all a little influencer game. Everyone on social media is a mini influencer. It doesn't matter if you like it. That's the reality of it. So it's like, how much you want to play the game, however what you want, it doesn't matter. But if you're there as like a politician, my guy, like if your friends don't want to see your stuff, they can mute you. It's like a real button.
I'd be curious to know, how many of my friends have muted me.
I know I go live 6 to 7 days a week.
The mute, it is a very useful tool. I use it all the time. Yeah, with friends and just about anyone else. Yeah, for sure.
All right, so I want to go back to just, you know, you a little bit in terms of your, like, what happens after you, so you run like a real campaign against other people, pass the party thing, and you win that thing, and then you get elected.
2 votes, yeah, and then got into the regular campaign in the fall, and got elected in the green wave. Got elected in the wave that brought Valerie into the mayor's seat, and got, you know, people from Projet elected pretty much right across the island, you know, from one tip to the other. And so, yeah, that was cool, man. That was a hell of a ride. Like, I didn't even think 3 weeks out from election day, I didn't even think I was going to win. I thought it was going well, but I didn't think it was going that well. And yeah, it was a bit of a shocker. Weird story. On election night, it just so happens that I ended up like I went to the party with my girlfriend at the time. She was feeling unwell, and so she went home a little bit early. And as things started dying down a little bit, I popped outside with a couple other people, and I ended up like hanging out with the woman that is now my girlfriend. And like we were chilling, and she was like, "Hey man, you seem like you don't realize what just happened here. Like, you're talking about this in very normal terms." She's like, "You just won. Like, celebrate, loosen up a little bit, enjoy yourself. This is a victory. This is a time to celebrate. And we only started dating like 2-3 years later, but weird, small town. So yeah, like got in on the wave, and it was just, it was a blessing.
All right, so the next thing is like probably the one that maybe people like Sandrine cared about the most. You were in office for like all this time. What have you learned? Well, I'm curious about one part. What have you like learned from this experience that you would do differently the next time you got in? As I believe what her question was.
Yeah. Oh, good question. I've been thinking about that a lot lately. It's uncommon in politics to admit that we can do things differently or do things better. Like that's not something that politicians really do very often. I think, am I wrong? Like, I don't know. I feel like there's this unwillingness to admit that we can do better in very specific and concrete ways. There's like a general kind of, yeah, we must do better, but without, taking any personal responsibility for it. And I think I'll be the first to admit, like, yeah, there's tons of stuff that I can do better. There are things that I really want to improve on. I think one of them, a big thing in terms of like really affecting change and making change happen, something that I tried doing a lot this mandate was that I would often ask our borough employees to kind of like try doing things differently in like very isolated, like standalone settings. I'd say, oh, let's experiment with this. Let's try to do this a little bit differently there. And I realize now that, that's just not the way the machine works. That doesn't work. It's going to be a lot of effort for very, very little gain. If you want things to change and to be done differently, you need to change the way the machine works. And that happens through policy. And, there are policy geeks that get involved in politics, but most people don't really do that. They're not into it. That's not what people like to hear about. So I think in my second term, I want to focus much more on actually making some real changes to the machine, because another one of my takeaways is that there is so much, especially at a local level, that we are not doing well. And this is not, it shouldn't be a political thing. It shouldn't be a political problem. We got a lot of hardworking people at the borough and at the city. We've got a lot of people that mean well, a lot of people that love the city as much as I do. But the system is fucked up. System is broken in so many ways. And I think they need someone to kind of guide them along and to make it clear, like, okay, we're going to fix this. We're going to do it together, and it's going to be uncomfortable, but I'm willing to work with you as long as we can all recognize that, there are problems that we're not solving, like you call up 311, right? It's like the city is like complaint, one-stop shop. If you have a problem, if you need information, it takes forever for things to get done when you call 311. Even when I put in requests, I'm the damn councillor, and it takes months and months and months to do in some cases. So, everyone at the city, like, they talk about these big ideas and, oh, we need, this big project, and we need this new thing. And how politicians just love new things because it means ribbon cutting ceremonies and photo ops. But we're not focused on making sure that what we have is actually working. Like, there's so much that doesn't work well. Like, you go into the parks in our neighborhood, and so often they're a mess, or the grass isn't even cut. You got facilities, man, for like a month at the beginning of summer, a month, not a weekend went by that I didn't get a text or a call from someone in a park saying, I'm here with my kid. My kid needs to go to the bathroom, and the toilets are locked. The toilets are closed. What am I supposed to do? Carry my kid into a bush? There's so much. We get so carried away in the big ideas and the politics of it, and I've seen this more clearly since I became an independent, that we forget how important it is just to make sure that we're getting the basics right. And I feel like that might resonate with Sandrine, because I know that she's been upset. She's been upset with how little love we've given to Sherbrooke Street. Sherbrooke Street's really dirty a lot of the time, you know? Same thing with Summerled. We feel like, a lot of people feel like Monkland gets all the attention. It's the same thing for our parks.
Loyola
a lot of
Park
people
got a dog park, but nobody can pick up the garbage. Say a word, right?
Yeah, don't even get me started on
a dog park.
Oh my God.
3 blocks from a dog park.
Well, the idea was it would be a bigger and better one, and we'd get rid of the old one. The old one's small.
One is like my childhood dog park. I know that's a ridiculous argument.
You know, actually, that one was one of the first ones in all of Montreal.
Like,
but now it's like
when I was a kid, that's where we brought the dog.
Yeah.
You know, that's what it was.
There you go.
But like, I just.
But we need like, we got way more dogs. We need a bigger dog park.
But we watched them build this thing.
People.
Why is it full of concrete? Like, why is the dog park just concrete? Like, that was so confusing. Is it a skate park? Is it a dog? That's what I was looking like. This looks like a skate park. And then like, yeah, doesn't like cement bad for dog feet? Like, I don't know. I'm asking legit questions.
There is no acceptable or good answer to that question. I was there before they put in that gravel stuff. I was there with the people designing it. I was there with dog owners. Dog owners were saying, we're worried. We want to talk to you. I'm like, all right, here are the guys designing it. You know, you want to talk about ways in which the system is broken? We had concerned citizens, we had the local councillor, and we had 2 civil servants that I've worked with for almost 4 years now, and I know they're good people, and they were just trying to do their jobs. But they didn't listen. They didn't listen to what people were saying. They're saying, don't worry, this isn't the first time we've done this. We've done plenty of dog parks now. It's going to be okay. The residents were saying, nah, not sure about that, but we'll give you guys a shot. And then they came out with this, and it's a mess. It's ridiculous. It's one of the biggest frustrations I've had in 4 years. We were literally there, and you had dog owners telling you, this is what we want, this is what we need, and they didn't do it.
Yeah.
So when I say that the system is broken, that pisses me off. That's a waste of money. That's a waste of everyone's time and energy. And it makes people feel like they can't trust the city to do good things, you know?
Yeah, it comes off kind of like, that's weird. I don't know what happened there. And then, whereas I'll give full credit, the basketball court at Coffee Park, big props. That actually makes a lot of sense. It's kind of litty. Big ups there.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be fun.
Good or bad?
I'm hoping we could do like a dunk contest or something just to inaugurate it.
Yeah.
You know?
That one was a pretty cool project, just to give like love that something good happened. Because I was confused by that.
Yeah. You know, we don't do everything wrong, right? Like I was saying before, sometimes you got to go looking for the good, but we do a lot of good. We give a lot of help to community groups and the community at large. You know, like there's a lot of good people doing a lot of good work, but there's still many ways in which we get the basic stuff wrong, you know? Like the dog park, great example. These people have been pushing for a dog park, been saying exactly what they want for like years now. And the machine did not listen to them. That drives me crazy.
And then if you
that makes me feel like we're not getting the
part,
basics.
It wastes money, which goes Montreal go, yo, bro, you wasted your budget, blah, 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 makes life even harder at the other levels. I could see
it does. We're already having trouble with that. That's why I left my party in December, because we're not getting a fair deal and enough money from the city center budget as it is. But we got to get things right locally. If we screw things up locally, it's exactly as you said. You know what? People downtown told me that when I asked them, why aren't you sending us more money? I said, well, you're not doing a good job with the money that we do send you. So, you know, there's responsibility on both sides there. We've got to do well with what we have. But yeah, I think we also need more. Like we're really ripped off, but we need to do things properly with what we have. And the dog park's an example of not doing that. Basketball court, great example of getting it right. I think like that's going to be great for West Haven. It's going to be great for the neighborhood. But like we got to show people that we get it right more often. We got to make life a little bit easier for folks. We got to make sure that things run on time, that things get fixed.
That's fair. Why did you break off from the party? Like, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah. Yeah. Big decision that I took in December of last year, because it's usually in December that we vote on the city budget. City budget is, like a massive, I've got it here somewhere. Where is it? There we go. This is city budget right here. Nice, big, thick bastard. And this is the other one. This is capital budget. This is all the projects that we have, that we pay for. This, $2 billion a year, give or take. And this thing, our operating budget, $6.5 billion. So we throw a lot of money around, and basically what people have been saying for a long time now is that Côte-Neige NDG gets ripped off. We don't get enough money. We're the largest borough in the entire city by a long shot, way bigger than anyone else. We've got a huge population, large territory, lots of institutions, lots of needs, and we don't get enough money to actually respond to those needs. So, 4 years ago, Projet, and I was part of that team, we ran on getting NDG a better deal, getting more money so that we can, we can put up more basketball courts and a few more dog runs. And, we could do a better job of keeping the parks clean and helping our community groups. And in 3 years, downtown wasn't willing to make that happen. And so as I started learning more about the budget, learning more about how the city works, I started asking more and more difficult questions, and I was not getting acceptable answers. And so when the time came to vote on the administration's last budget, I said no. I said, we ran on this, we made a promise. By not fulfilling that promise, we've essentially broken it. This is the last opportunity that we have. It's the last budget before the next elections. So if you're not going to keep the promise, I'm not going to defend a party that's ripping off my neighborhood. Like, Projet stands for some wonderful things, great principles, great vision for what the city can be, but you need to support local neighborhoods. And if they weren't willing to do that, then I wasn't willing to vote for the budget.
I respect that.
That's it in a nutshell.
I've asked a serious question. Let's say you get elected. Not to say you're not going to, but I can't be super definitive.
I'll get elected.
But you get elected again, and you're back in. Does that make your life astronomically harder to create change on a real?
I don't think so. I think it's a different way of working. It also depends on who else gets elected, right? I might be in a good position to negotiate more for the neighborhood. And either way, you can work as an independent. A lot of stuff that needs to get done needs to be done locally, and it gets done regardless of whether you're with the party in power or not. We had an independent city councillor who's finishing his 10th mandate, and he presented more motions and nudged things along in different ways than just about anyone else I know at council. So there are different ways of working. That's and right. Different ways of pushing an agenda and forcing those people in power to actually listen. Earlier we were talking about the petitions, right? Get some petitions going. Hold some low cost public consultations. Get the word out. Get people involved and mobilized. You can do that as an independent. It's a different way of working. It can be tougher. You don't have the party structure to give you support, but when you want to push something, you push it. And being a councillor gives you that opportunity. So will it be harder in some ways? Yeah. I think it'll also be easier in some ways. I get to call it like I see it. I don't have a party line. I don't have anyone calling me up anymore from the mayor's office saying, we know you want to talk about this, but we'd really rather you didn't. That's a really crappy way to have to work. I want to call it like I see it.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it could be fun.
I think it's a huge challenge. I'm into your answer. That was a good one. I have another question. It's very selfishly motivated, but I was very bothered by a local news story recently. Orange Theory Fitness Summer Led made a tent and pissed off the hood.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
and
my God.
Here's what I know about that. I know for a fact that
Yeah.
most of the people who go to that Orange Theory do not live in the neighborhood. So the claims that got made in that story about it being about a neighborhood local business is ridiculous, because the only people benefiting fiscally will be the people who are coming to this place that live in Westmount and other locations. They're the patrons.
Is it really that many people? Yeah, from outside?
My girlfriend's an Orange Theory Fitness member. Whoops. Oh, shit. Oh, she's not allowed back there now. But, like, it is what it is. She was there for the longest time telling me all about how Westmount that shit is. Sorry, it gets me passionate and I swear a little more. But I got really mad when I read that article because they made the tent. And, yo, I guarantee you that if at 8 in the morning people was making noise like that while I'm on a Saturday, I might be pooping in their tent. I'm going to say that. I might get to the point where I poop in your tent if you're waking me up every Saturday. And I saw people, and then part of the people who go there are journalists who wrote the articles in favor of her. Corrupt. But that's a real thing, too. And hearsay, allegedly, all the legal things so I don't get sued. Allegedly. All the things.
Allegedly. I heard that.
Yeah.
I heard
all
that.
the things so I don't get sued. But for real, like, to me, like, it's $200 a month. That's a not very rich neighborhood. Well, like,
wow.
Yeah, it's $200.
It's $200
$160
a month to go to
$200. You know what I mean? We're talking CrossFit prices, and look
That's
at the location.
insane.
That's not CrossFit location. So y'all can speculate how I speculate here. My whole point was her argument in terms of blah 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 is this is for the neighborhood. Now I'm questioning, as like a person who might vote for you or not, literally, where do you stand on that kind of an issue? Because the cops were like, legally you have the right to do blah 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 blah. The neighborhood is like, yo, get out, and then it just kind of seemed like an issue that was like left in the air. But like, I don't feel like it was. First, I don't feel they represented it. So I'm wanting to ask all the politicians this one because I want to know how y'all feel about an issue like this. Because gentrification is a real thing in this neighborhood. You can be pro it, you can be negative. I'm old school NDG, so I'm not pro gentrification the way it's manifesting that you all have tripled the rent price in like the last decade and a bunch of other stuff. I remember $500 for in a house is what I'm saying. And it was never as bad as y'all thought it was in 2012. Just going to throw it out there too. So I watched a lot change. Now, families are important, and I'm not a parent, and all the other caveats that I got to throw out there for teen parents and all them, and I get it. But when I see something like that, where a high scale, clearly gentrifying the neighborhood enterprise comes in and then disrupts the neighborhood, like, how do you feel about stuff like that? And what can be done? Not necessarily like whatever you might not be able to comment. What can be done? Like, what can be done in a moment like that? What are the options? Or is it just corporation wins?
Okay, I'm going to break it down into I'm going to say like a two-part answer. I'm going to talk about Orange Theory, but I want to talk about the gentrification thing first because it's true. NDG is seeing an increase, a ridiculous increase in rents. The building that I lived in for 5 years at Kensington and Sherbrooke was bought by rent-evictors. And a friend of mine still living in the building told me that, you know, they're trying to push me out, right? Because they know that they can just renovate and then make a buck, jack up the rents. Same thing with the businesses. It's happening a little more slowly on Summerled, I would say.
Bro, it's happening big time on Summerled right now. I
don't think so.
Okay, when I say big time, I mean, I see the inception points of a new Monkland appearing where I live, and I don't think people that live here can afford it.
Oh, I'm totally with you. I don't want it to become the next
No,
Monkland.
but like,
and I've been saying that for 4 years. You can see it in the food
places. You just have to look at the restaurants. All you have to do is watch the restaurants in your neighborhood to see the inception points of it. And I'm sorry, but the average food price of restaurants and stuff has increased drastically in the last while as they make more higher end eateries. And it's very baffling.
There are definitely, don't get me wrong, there are definitely a few. That goes without saying.
I'm fielding Rosedale. My grocery store is right there. This is my hood.
Yeah. But they've got the old classics, the old institutions as well, in large part. You know, you got places that have been there for like 20, 30, 40 years as well. There's definitely been some change. But I think one of the issues with gentrification is that it's a question of everything happening quickly. Like things do change, right? Commercial arteries have their ups and downs. You get new people moving in. The question is, are people getting pressured out because of the rents? And are the new places that are moving in unaffordable to everyone? I have no doubt, I'm well aware that there are some places on Summerled now that like some locals just will not go. And that's a problem that I hate to say it. I don't know of anyone at the city that actually has a solution to that, because it's the market. The city doesn't have any control over the market.
That's fair.
People want to move in, jack up the rents. Like commercially, no protections, right? Commercially, you can do whatever the hell you want. And we've seen it with abusive commercial landlords that push out their tenants.
Names
that I will not say because I don't want to get sued. Dad's Bagel, the perfect
allegedly
3 a.m. night bus drop-off.
That's what the newspapers made it sound like happened when the guy from Dad's Bagels did all the interviews. That's what it sounded like happened.
What? That's
what he said happened. That they pressured him out. They refused to renegotiate the lease.
Yeah, and he's not the only one. Yeah, it's happened on Sherbrooke. It's happened on. It definitely happened on Monkland over the years. And the last thing I want is for Summerled to become another Monkland. The problem is that the city doesn't have the tools to prevent that. That's an issue of the property market. That's regulated provincially. That's something that you got to talk to your member of the National Assembly about.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So
it sucks though. I'm with you. Like I hate it. I hate seeing that kind of thing happen. It's upsetting not just for local businesses, but like for living too. You know, a lot of people that I know have moved out of NDG. They're like, we can't afford it anymore, you know? And now those people feel like they are part of the gentrification wave in other neighborhoods.
Bro, I'm absolutely part of the gentrification. I'm from here, and I'm still part of this current gentrification wave coming into this place at the price I pay. But then, like, they're charging like 12, and I know you have no power, but they're charging like $12.50 for a 3.5, 2 blocks from me on Fielding. Up, like we're talking Fielding.
That's ridiculous.
Like on Mariette, between Rosedale and Mariette, $12.50 for a 3.5 is a real price. And this is this is a very big immigrant neighborhood. As in, there's a lot of predatory practices that happen that is, again, outside of your control. And I know that
it's a big problem that we often end up hearing about. Oftentimes when it's too late, because people who are new to the city, new to the country, don't know. They're not aware of their rights. In fact, a lot of people that have been living here their whole lives are not aware of their rights.
That's true.
So me, like in my position, I try to point them towards resources that can help them. You know, a great example is an organization we have in the neighborhood called Logis Action. These people, salt of the earth. Incredible people. They know the ins and outs of rental law. They know what you can do to like file a stop work order, take abusive landlords to the régie. They know it. But in order for them to help people need to know about them. So part of the challenge is getting the word out. Commercially, though, there's nothing. Until the province decides that we're going to put in place measures to protect small business owners.
That's provincial.
That's provincial. The city is working around the edges. And over the last year, the city has announced tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in funding to business support to help local businesses. But man, that's just for a pandemic. That's just to help them get through the pandemic. Like we don't have the capacity to help businesses cover abusive rents, you know? And yeah, man, it pisses me off too. I don't like to see local places closing down. Man, I practically grew up at Mr. Hot Dog and they just closed up one day and left. They were replaced by a Dagwoods. I don't want to franchise at Mr. Hot Dog, you know? Like there's ways that the neighborhood is changing. First happened on Monkland. It started with Monkland and it's radiated out. It's radiated westward. So are there still spots on Summerled that are open to the whole neighborhood? Yes, still, because it's not as bad. But it's a question of the speed in which it happens.
Fair.
That's also part
I'm saying, as a resident, I'm like, I'm seeing it happen faster than I'm comfy with, is all I'm saying. And I get it. Like, I mean, it's a weird blessing and a curse, because I guess it makes the neighborhood different and better for a lot of people, and worse for me because I'm cheap, and it's one of the last bastions of cheap neighborhoods disappearing in my life. That was it. It was in the golden era of cheap and not dangerous, and I'm like, it was so good. It was such
good days,
and now it's just expensive.
Yeah.
And I
really wish there was something we could do about that. Like, I've racked my brains, and like, frankly, I haven't come up with anything, because the amount of, first, we don't have the regulatory power, and the amount of money that would be needed to give direct assistance to businesses is just like insanely high. But you were asking about a specific example, which is Orange Theory.
That was my like example. Yeah. Of one local issue.
You taught me something new there. Something like, I still remember seeing the articles.
Don't sue me, Orange Theory.
Allegedly taught me some allegedly new information that, first of all, I didn't realize that a place on Summerlid would charge that much for gym access. Like, that's ridiculous.
I only bring that up because in that article, it was I'm a local business.
Yeah.
And support me. I'm investing in my community, And I'm like, hold up. I can't afford you personally. Yeah. My girlfriend said it was worth it. I'm like, you're crazy. We can't afford this. She said, fuck it. It's worth the price. Whatever.
I couldn't bring myself to spend $160 on a gym membership. I'd go crazy. That's just like, especially if you're not using it, which is what I usually do. But yeah, there's obviously the question of like, who are they really there for? And then part of it is just, what are you allowed to do with your property? Like, we have rules that govern these things. And if you're making a little bit of noise, but not too much noise, then usually we let you do pretty much whatever you want to do, as long as you're not causing serious problems for people. And I've seen it in the parks too. A lot of gyms during COVID, right? Like, they held classes in the parks. I'm guessing there are people that live across the street from the parks that weren't crazy about hearing, morning workouts at 7 a.m. But
it's legal
in
at
large
7,
part,
right? Like, technically, you can make noise as of 7, because that's when y'all start doing construction and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's different on the weekends, but I can't remember. So it's like it's a balancing act. Now, I remember seeing the photos. Like, they had rowers. Rowers can be noisy at times. Is it like, were they blasting music? Were they doing like, intense training sessions, yelling at people and stuff? I don't know. I can totally see how that would get out of hand. But what really struck me the most is like, how the hell did it get to the point? How the hell did it get to the point where someone actually took a dump on their like that's a failure on another level, like, are you trying to tell me like there wasn't any kind of communication happening before? Like what happened that went from gym holding outdoor classes to public defecation on gym equipment? That's a big jump. And I still don't know what happened in between. I mean, I
don't know what happened.
That's
in between
weird,
either,
man.
But
that's weird.
But I mean, it was the most baffling thing in the world. And then I got like this whole article, and then I made a comment and said, "Oh, maybe I should not do this here and now," and backed out of that one. And then was like, but it sat with me for months, because it was like the perfect case study of what I think is systemically like a mask issue that gets because then it takes the neighborhood who's not there, who isn't really thinking about the factors like rent price versus, because if it's $160 for that gym, then it brings no value to the immediate capacity of that neighborhood. And I'm not saying it to be like everybody there is poor, but like, if you're gonna run a gambling thing at the old timers, it's not a rich neighborhood. This is the former hood.
Yeah,
this is,
and you don't need to be rich to not
hood.
afford that. Yeah,
like, just so that we're aware of what this part of the neighborhood is.
Street,
you know
right?
what I'm saying? Like, it is there, right? It's one of the only bars in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Is there a reason?
Especially ever since Billy G's closed, it's the only one.
I don't know what Billy G's is.
Billy G's was just a few doors down. Remember, it was like a burger and beer bar, or that's how it was sold. I think he had like a jukebox as well. Tiny little spot.
Actually, that brings me to the other thing I personally care about as a constituent. Rap. where do rappers rap in this part of town? Like, cause here's the thing about parks. There's a little bit of an issue with the citizens that we're gonna face when we start cussing, that they're not gonna be as down for in the parks, and that's a reality.
A little bit.
I don't know if we're allowed to. I feel like I should be allowed to say fuck in a park as much as I want, but I don't know if that's true, honestly, because public decency laws aren't noise complaints. It's public decent, and it's like, that's vague.
Yeah.
What does that really mean? I don't know. But then it made me realize there is almost zero venues that I think of that are like a viable option for growing ups that are not like the 3 bars that cater to rock.
Yeah.
And there's
you're totally spot on, man.
Is there something that you as city councillor, man, could do to like create something for, not for kids, for adults, like for growing ups to like go hang out at, that is maybe not rock oriented?
Yeah, there's like not much. There's not much outside of like that basic, like that basic offering. There's, especially in Western NDG, there's not much. It's something that's bugged me for a while. Like, again, we were talking about Summerled. There's the, what is it, Sora bar, but like most people,
holy
when
crap,
they want to go
Sandrine
out.
just, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Sandrine just said there's a condo project going up across the street from the old Station 11 on Summerled that's $1 million a unit.
That's where Billy G's was. That's where Billy G's was. They closed down, and they're replacing it with condos, and they call it. You know what? I don't even want to say the name. It's like it just. It's kind of gross, but condos are going up.
Yeah, it's wild.
Because they can.
That's
because they
wild.
can.
I know that's because they can't. I mean, I know that, and I also know that I don't even think at the Montreal mayoral level there's much that can be done.
No, when I say that the city doesn't have,
Summer
like
Lux,
we can zone.
That's what it's called, Summer Lux.
Oh,
she said it.
Sandrine, I didn't want to say it.
That's the worst name ever. What?
Oh,
there's not much Lux about Summerled, my guys and girls.
I know.
Except for that really expensive chicken place. I think Olivia's Chicken or one of them is over there.
Olivia's Chicken. Yeah.
$35 for 5 pieces. Get out of here.
Really?
Yo, it's that gentrified.
I'll admit, I've had the wrap.
It's pretty bad. It is pretty delicious. I'm not hating on the quality. But
juicy chicken.
But like at a certain point, you're like, yo, that's. I didn't know they were inside. I didn't know where they were until one day I walked by and I'm like, oh.
Well, because they started off. I miss the first incarnation. I miss kebab because I love me some bulgogi kimchi bibimbap. Like that's just my go-to at just about any Korean restaurant, and it's always good. But apparently they were kind of having trouble, getting more foot traffic and stuff, and so they kind of decided to like switch the business model. Great chicken, but it's one of the pricier places for sure.
It's because it's Uber Eats fodder. It's not really about the local neighborhood at all.
Oh yeah, it's all about, and they even pitch it that way, right? Like normally they don't have tables inside, like it's a delivery and pickup place. But like one of the things that I've always felt would like be really great to have on Summerled is like some kind of a pub at least. Like I'm not saying a rock pub. I'm just like anywhere that you could just go.
I know nobody can control what it turns out to be. I was just kind of throwing it out there. Like, NDG, there's more than rock up in here. Actually, a real venue, like just a venue, multi-purpose bar venue. Cause how many?
Very few in NDG.
How many
for music?
18 to 35-year-olds are there in this city? Enough to justify it.
Yeah. Well, even not just 18 to 35, but like I'm sure there are plenty of people in the neighborhood that would be down to pop down to Summerled for a live show from time to time. Like that's something that can be done. You do it right, and the neighbors around, which is always the challenge, right? You do it the right way. You set it up with the permits and the zoning and stuff so that if someone does set up a live venue, it's a live venue that you're not going to hear like on the next, like all the way down the block when they're holding a show, right?
Yeah.
Like you can have something indoors. You guys want to do shows. You want to do like any kind of stand up, like with a mic. You can do any kind of performance and not have to worry about disturbing the neighbors. Like there are ways of doing that. There are definitely ways of doing that. Man, I've been saying it for a while. We need to ease up on some of the bylaws and regulations because they discourage those kinds of places from setting up. We started on that over the last few years. We made a couple of small changes to make it easier for places to like sell alcohol, for example. But we still don't have any venues that are setting up. That's a much trickier one outside of downtown.
That's fair.
Much trickier one outside of downtown.
How hard is it to actually get a permit for a park?
For a park?
Yeah, let's say I want to do something.
For like events in a park?
Yeah.
Honestly, like you can do stuff like I think about these people that are going to NDG Park for Wednesday night. Like I'm pretty sure they just go and set up.
I know that what they're doing,
You know?
but I can't. I want to go more commercial with it. I want to do it right. I want to create like because my thoughts are like this: 166,000 people up inside of NDG, a lot of rappers in NDG, and rap is debatably a tourist attraction if you do it right, and that could bring tourist dollars up in here, which would force Montreal's hand in giving you more money because now you're a tourist attraction. And everybody wins, including us, as in the artists. So to me, it's the most win-win thing I've ever thought of for politicians and hip-hop in this city. And if you can somehow align as like the city with like the art scene to even, we'd rap on your behalf to advocate for this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if we thought there would be actual governmental support in pushing initiatives like that, and we wouldn't just get like laughed out walk in and be like, a bunch of rappers in NDG want to get, people they think ways about it. Nobody takes that seriously.
I mean, I think more and more it's being taken seriously because I know that like we do organize and we even we fund hip hop events in the neighborhood. It just happens very rarely. It happens like a few times a year. So it's something
How
that
does somebody get funding? How do I get funding? Like, I don't even know.
Getting funding is going to be a lot more difficult than getting a permit. So I'd say start with that, because you can apply for a permit, and you've got to respect the rules, especially surrounding noise and stuff like that. But like you get a permit for an event and it'll make everyone's lives a lot easier, right? Like you can set up, you can plug in on location. Like the city can make it easier for you to actually set up your show because they know you're going to be there. We know you're going to be there, and we can figure out what the best space is for it.
It's obviously Girard Park at the Diamond. That's clearly been proven to be the hot spot.
Like that is a hot spot. So I'm just trying to think like where would be a great spot like further west to get people going. I don't know. I'm thinking Trenholm Park's
viable.
Like,
Loyola's not viable because it's way too kid friendly. Like it's way.
Well, it's also really big and open.
No, but it's like it's weird. It's not like good open like Girard Park. It's weird open with obstacles everywhere that forces this kind of circle path that cuts through the.
Lots of facilities and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, but like Trenholm Park is an example, right next to the freaking building. We sort of bootleg did one there, and it worked. Or even inside the building. How does one book the building?
I mean, it's going to be gutted soon, but in the meantime, you can look for nighttime bookings. I don't know if we offer them, but definitely outside. Like that's something that you can apply for. You make it like a regular thing.
I have to connect with a public not-for-profit, otherwise do it illegal. Fair enough.
That makes it easier, but anyone can apply for permits. If you're trying to profit off an event, then you probably won't get the permit.
You can't really gate a park event, so you're not really profiting off of that. But like in my
no, for sure. But like, there are a few ways they can do it.
I suppose
going through a not-for-profit makes it a little easier because they're used to the process. They have experience asking for permits and stuff. So yeah, you got options.
Park Paul Doyen on the corner of Girard and Monkland, according to Morrow. Fair enough. I don't really know where that park is. I mean, I know what it is. I can't picture it, so I don't know. But like, what I'm saying is like, I don't know. I'm just trying to brainstorm this publicly, and you're a guy that knows things, and putting it out into the air because, you
never know if you don't ask.
That's right. Like I like how Sandrine's attitude. Ask Christian for money. It's the perfect one. I'm like, I don't know if Christian has the ability to just go write me a check like that, but
Hey, you organize an event with a not-for-profit. I mean, we actually, each councillor does have a tiny little bit
Oh,
that we
say
can put
word. Make a
towards
Wish
local
is down for
projects.
rappers. So I actually had an event plan one time. I was mad at work. When I get real mad, I do things, and they said we don't. I was mad at how they were fundraising for Make a Wish, and I thought they were
Okay.
doing a trash job. So I said I can throw a concert, and they were like, "Oh no, you can't." Make a Wish said it was okay. Within a week, we had it booked, and when you do it for charity, everybody gives you everything for free.
There
So
you
like,
go.
if that's all I gotta do, screw that. I'll just go. Set it up with Make a Wish. They'll be like, "Oh, you're raising money for us? Okay."
We got community groups that do events like this, like if not all year round, then certainly like every year, you know. So you partner up with a community group, you set it up like that simplifies things, you know, because they do this stuff regularly. They talk with the borough, they know what to apply for, they know what to fill out, and they're more familiar with the rules. These things can be done. It's just getting that first foot in the door to figure out how to navigate the machine, and a lot of those groups know how to do that. But yeah, you want to set something up, you shoot me an email and we'll send you the forms for permit applications, see what we can do.
That's dope. What's the consequences of not having a permit application? Is it just the cops and like a little tickety poo?
I mean, it depends on what you're doing.
Nothing.
Like earlier this year, the Habs games didn't have a permit, and the cops allowed that to continue until what? Until the final series.
Bro, they were launching fireworks. I was right there. Four people
Yeah,
away.
the fireworks didn't help.
People away from me. Second period. I'm like, yo, I'm out. I'm done. I'm leaving.
Yeah, they were. It started off okay, and then they started pushing their luck, and that's when the police said,
Bro,
"No."
it was like a
No,
club. I was like, I don't think I've been around this many young, horny people in like so long. It was quite the incredible experience to be there for a quick minute.
yeah, I almost felt like I was in my early 20s again. It was a little weird.
It was nice. And then I got scared of fireworks because I'm like, yo, I don't want to be here when the cops break up this party.
Yeah, they were even when they were tolerating it, it was like really to the minute, like final whistle, final buzzer would blow, and like 3 minutes later, cop cars are coming up the street, the sirens are on, the lights are
like,
flashing.
Nah, I'm done.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. So, in general, how is it? Facebook is the only way really to reach you because you're like anti-social media, or your phone number?
These days, I may yet get an IG, but I'm still on the fence, man.
I'll break it
I'm
down
still
one
on the
time for you.
fence.
Do you want anybody under the age of 27 to know who you are?
I mean, that would be helpful.
Then you need an Instagram because they're not on Facebook. This is just facts and demos, Mr. Numbers Guy. Can't argue with reality.
Okay, I hear you.
I had to get an Insta and start using it because I want to know 20-year-olds. And the only way to know a 20-year-old is to be on the gram. And you know what's dope? Hashtags. Not because you post them, but but you can reverse search hashtags and find a lot of useful stuff. You want a local bakery? Type in NDG Bakery. Find the hashtag. Watch how you'll find every local bakery posting and advertising. So Instagram's power, if you understand it. You don't...
Fair.
And it will only show you the girls and stuff if you look for the girls and stuff. That's the facts of an Instagram.
If they're local and they vote, then hey, man.
How do people help you? Like, I don't know if there's laws on how they can help you. Like, I'm saying that because like I'm in art and music and shit. I'm like, is like music, like, are people allowed to like, hypothetically, make a Christian Arseneault song? Like, is that like
absolutely
ethically inappropriate? Are you allowed to commission that? Like, I don't know I'm just asking on a curiosity front because I think in America that's not allowed.
It depends. It's weird. Like outside of election period, yeah, you can do that like no problem. At least I'm pretty sure. But once we start getting close to the campaign and stuff like that, like a song, for example, it would be considered like promo material, right? And so it's something that I could pay for. It's not something that could be done for free by someone who like usually produces music. So the fact that you MC, the fact that you do this like for a living means that you cannot do it. You wouldn't be able to do it for me for free. I'd have to pay, which is, you know, obviously like that's legit.
I'm telling you, pay rappers. You tomorrow, pay rappers. All of you. Yo, rappers, trust, you'll get it for way cheaper than
The
a
rap
band.
battle.
You'll get whatever you want musically for way cheaper than a band will cost you, because a band has to record drums.
Okay.
So it's just way cheaper. You know, the cost.
All right, just like cost effective.
I'm saying I can produce on album. You can get Cynical. Ooh, if he's getting Cynical, you gotta. We'll have to find you another rapper. I'll get him Cool Man Logan. We'll get Cool Man Logan and Cynical. These are, I don't know if you know them, but these guys are in a group together once upon a time.
I don't. I warned you, man. Like no, this is not what I know.
Moral's going there. But it's fun. It's fun for you to go learn about whatever. But that would be like hilarious to see that happen. And if you understood the context, it would be funnier for you. And for like the 7 people that get it, it's amazing. I understand.
All right. But yeah, people can help. That's for sure. You know, like these things, like a lot of politics happens with like people just deciding to help out, get involved. Yeah, you're right when you say that campaigns are pretty like basic, right? They're pretty straightforward. Also, because here in the city, like we're not talking about like American style campaigns, right? Like we don't have a lot of money to work with. So, you know, people aren't allowed to gift us anything, right? They can't be like, oh, hey, you need to print stuff out. You can come and use my printer for free. Like, no, that's not how it works. You got to pay for most of this stuff. So like, when it comes to campaigns, we're actually pretty constrained in what we can do, right? Just because the law states that, you know, we got to pay for all this stuff.
Can you make a podcast? It costs no money. I promise. You can make a podcast.
You could totally make a podcast. Yeah.
I'm only saying that to you because I suggested it to Morrow and all these others. I'm going to suggest it, but like you could just do like a weekly podcast for free. That would be like a hype way to organic market. And
yeah,
for the record, if y'all do that, start it today. Don't loaf. Don't wait till like 3 weeks before, because it'll take 3 months for your shit to pick up steam and actually be worth anything in November. But like, but like it's that kind of stuff. Like that's where I'm like baffled. I'm like, yo, I'm a rapper and I don't have the financing to push my stuff, so I went alternate with like creating more than just being it. Maybe politicians need to take a more than a politician approach to marketing. Like if you're in a campaign, you're basically there to convince people to give you attention, ultimately, which is no different than me trying to sell an album, huge part of it, or anybody else doing whatever they're doing. Sandrine's trying to sell her sugary foods, is what I understand she does when I Googled it.
Deliciousness.
I haven't had it yet, but I'm tempted now. I'm like, I got to go figure out where that is. Apparently it's on Sherbrooke.
And, it's very much on Sherbrooke. And, Sherbrooke and Harvard?
Okay, yeah, that's not even terrible.
There you go.
I have to like walk past there after this. But like basically, yeah, it's shit, I got a little distracted. Oh yeah, you guys just need to like consider like how to get attention in 2021. It's not that like people don't have attention spans, it's that literally everyone is saying the same thing and everyone's doing the same thing. So already it's like, okay, how many pictures of people eating that stuff or sitting in a park can I look at before I'm like, y'all kind of look the same? No offense to anybody doing that, I get it. It's like the things y'all do. But to like, especially for those of you in disadvantaged positions, meaning like you're not the favored party, your independent's probably big. Like y'all gotta really like act like you are back against the wall for attention. Go out there and take some risks, cause yo, not gonna hurt you. It may sound like it'll hurt you, but if you can get a bunch of 20-year-olds to actually mention your name, that's a huge win.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, admittedly, we don't think outside the box on that very often. I think politics, in terms of like reaching out to people, has typically been a pretty conservative kind of field. You know, like we kind of go with what we've known to work in the past, and there's often like pretty slow uptake of other platforms and stuff. I've thought about doing the podcast because I like for me, I'm less crazy. It's like I told you, right? Like I'm less crazy about like posting stuff just to get on the news feed. Like I'm not that crazy about that side of social media, but I like the conversational style. Being able to do stuff like this, like that's where I feel like I can be a little bit more myself. That's also where we can get into it. That's something else that I don't like about social. Like social, it's very difficult to actually get in deep, you know, to like have a real discussion, get into the nuances of things. And like, that's where I like to geek out. That's where my eyes light up. That's where I get excited about stuff. And it's like, you can't do that in a tweet. It's practically impossible to do it on a Facebook post. And I'm guessing, can't be sure because I haven't done it.
That
you know,
it's going to be the strangest shit ever. But Donald Trump worked around that with a YouTube channel that nobody cared about. Like literally, you can. It's just a matter of doing it different.
That's why I'm saying podcast. I think would be a little bit more my style.
Go back to your tweet. You want to describe the nuance on an issue in 4 minutes. You can probably passionately break down what you got to say. Upload that as a video. Put it to YouTube one time. Put it out. Like y'all.
Okay, yeah. If we're talking about using something like Twitter for cross posting and just like drumming up a little bit more traffic.
Straight up, you want to have a political debate on Twitter. You can choose to use text or respond. You can be like, "You want to talk to me? Watch this YouTube video and then holler."
Huh.
Like, why not?
You think that would work?
Yeah.
Well, like, I don't know, man.
Bro, I'm like, all I do is geek on how to use organic marketing in the strangest possible ways. Right? Like that's what I do. I don't want to pay for ads. I think it's goofy. I think paying for ads is something you do when you're selling a product or you're like about to make a direct ROI, and brand awareness is not something you pay for. If you're paying for brand awareness, you're not cool. And I don't want to not be cool. You know, like I don't want to buy my coolness on some, I had this shit. Nah, I want some organic fire. You know, like I made a song about pickle chips and people started tagging me in like, and it was anti-pickle chips. So I got a lot of tags and pro pickle stuff. That's organic. It's dumb. Everything that's dumb, like in your soul, you're like, that's some dumbness. It's probably a really good idea then. Like, you know, like there's so many times where like the dumbest, I'll like talk about corn because people react. I'm like, cats is not it. Because like, yeah, the cat people out there like cats, but like it's so overdone. It's like asking for
everyone
it.
does cats.
But man,
it's too bad. I got a pretty damn good looking cat.
Popped on a cam at one point. Somebody was watching for it the whole time on Facebook, and then they popped up and they're like, yeah, there he is. And I'm like, oh, fair enough.
Yeah, this was not staged. Yeah. But yeah,
I just
lots of cats already.
I just think like that's it, where it's like everyone just acts like social media is a thing other than a tool. Like it's just a tool. And me, I'm looking at it like, and maybe it's because of my like content driven life where like I see the parallels. And lately to work around Facebook jail, people will pick up their phone and do voice response in a video for 20 seconds and send that, and it gets you around Facebook jail. And I'm just sitting there going, say a word. That's actually like a way you can use Facebook that nobody does. So I started trying it here and there. I'll leave a comment video response. Like, why not? Why does it have to be text? Who made that rule? Nobody.
Yeah.
Nobody made that rule. We just all did it. That's some like weirdness going on. And I'm just like,
no, I got someone who did it with me. It wasn't on social, but it was a different way of doing it that nobody else I know has ever done. It was just instead of texting, because she knew like it would be difficult to get me on the phone, she just started sending me like voice notes. She started recording it.
That's everybody now. It's over.
Just like, really? Dude, I know like one person who does that.
Dude,
one person.
I have woken up to 11 minutes of voice notes. These are people who can't get people to click on songs for 3.5 minutes, sending 11-minute voice notes. And you're like, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I do it for entertainment.
No.
But so what happens is, and I'm guilty of it now too, because they all did it to me. And after a while, you're sitting there, your thumb isn't going fast enough. It's 7:30 in the morning. You're like, nah, it'll just be faster. Hit the button, start talking. And the next thing you know, you're the asshole sending 3 voice notes. And but then it's like, it's voicemails. These are literally, in 2021, we have return to voicemails being the hottest thing. And it's another reason.
Only we're not even trying to call in the first place. We're just sending the voicemail.
You can't screenshot them. You say your spicy stuff in voice notes.
Can you record them though? Can they be recorded?
They can be downloaded. So
Yeah.
but they can't be screenshotted. So it adds a level of that person really has to be coming at you, and then
They
it
have
gets
to really, yeah.
But like screenshotting is different because screenshotting is just so quick and simple, you know. And not everyone knows how to download voice notes. I had to like Google it to figure out how to do it.
Fair enough.
But that's where you put the spicy stuff because it's harder. And then it's like, yo, imagine after trying to find voice notes and it's just like trying to find the what, you know, like that's miserable. Nobody's doing that.
Yeah. Spicy stuff. Good to know.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, Moro does do voice notes. He sends me voice notes sometimes, and he's a guy where he'll start, and then you're like, no, I'm gonna wait till he's done, because you start responding to a voice note, you put your and then you realize the next one's coming. By the time you're done listening to the next one shows up, because they take a minute to record and a minute to listen to. They're terrible. It is not fun, but it lets you accomplish what you're looking for. Just using the tools.
I got things to learn from Moro, I guess. Yeah, I've never done that. Never done that. I just fire away with my thumbs, man. I've always counted on my thumbs.
Yeah, but people don't read right. You know, the media's been like relying on that forever and ever. Like, I'm like, yo, Moro always sends me voice notes from Sandrine. It is what it is. And you hear his voice, you can picture the smile, all that good stuff. And it like, because, yo, you hear the smiles. Yo, I got in a lot of trouble until I learned why people use emojis.
You get the tone. Yeah.
And if you're charismatic enough, they'll shut the fuck up and listen. If you're charismatic enough, if you're boring. But like,
it's a big if for a lot of people.
Yeah, but like, all I have to say, like, yo, definitely get on the gram, and then you can use stories, and then you can go tag your local businesses. Imagine you walk by stores and you're like, "This is Christian's review on this local eatery," and you tag them in. Why can't you do that? I don't actually know if there's violations, but like, I don't see why you couldn't do that.
No way. You could totally do that.
And y'all are going to the eateries. I'm seeing the pictures going up of, I ate at this place. Go like 2 steps further with that piece of content and hire a 20-year-old to help you make it look cool.
I'm taking notes now.
No, I'm serious. Don't try. Get a 20-year-old. Like, just don't even try.
Oh my god,
Don't even
that makes me feel so old, man. I'm 33.
Me too.
Tell me to hire a 20-year-old.
I'm telling myself too. I'm 33. It is what it is, bro. We tried to do it. We're like, it's hard. When did this start happening that it got hard? And that's real. 20-year-olds be like, beep, 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 beep. Use this filter, use that thing. And I'm like, what just happened? And it's so helpful.
Another world.
Yeah. And then you're doing that, and it makes young people give a crap. And then it creates like this cycle. And then if you can somehow, like, I don't know, I'm just throwing ideas out because I figure anyone can watch this, so it's not like so private or whatever. But like, imagine you're doing something like where you just go on live and you eat lunch and talk about like a local issue on an Instagram live at lunch every day. Lunchtimes with Christian. People can come and talk to you directly. It's just this kind of corny stuff that, like, it's corny, but it works.
Yeah, you know, now that you're mentioning it, I do know of a couple of politicians that have gotten really good at that. It's impressive. It's usually younger people, you know, and it might not be necessarily like just like the casual everyday stuff, but you know, sometimes they put in some effort to like set up the shot and stuff. But no, when it's well done, it's impressive.
Don't get caught up in quality. Content.
No,
quality.
I'm not talking like production quality and stuff. But like I have seen it, and it is impressive when they get it right.
It's more the concept that matters. You come up with a cool concept, it could look like shit and it could almost sound like shit, but like if you're dope about it, like that's why I pick food. People like food, so like, and it's weird. If you're eating and sharing food, it has like a lot of psychological elements to it, so it's a safe bet. That's why I'm like,
yeah, true.
And since you want to go around the local neighborhood anyway, it doubles down on you're already going to do that crap, blah, blah, blue, bleep. And so you come up with this thing that fits into your life already. And then it's like you just need a title that reflects it. So what's the mission of it? What's the purpose of you doing it? You find a purpose that actually is worth doing. Like my show's called Bridge the Gap. I'm trying to bridge the gap of knowledge. That's what it is. That's why we do this. We go through stories of people because everyone else is kind of boring and this is the best way to learn stuff. and that's it. You just need a concept, and then whatever you do doesn't matter. That's how like content really works. Marketing, in a sense, like you have to like whatever, but you come up with a good concept with it. I'm a big fan of alliteration. Add some alliteration, like you're in a good place. Like
Alliteration's fun. Alliteration's good. Yeah.
chow with Christian.
Alliteration's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, like it puts you in a position where you can at least get more interest for the exact same message. We did have another question I kind of skipped and I forgot about, but do you have any plans related to make NDG more environmentally friendly? Like a huge opportunity might be community rooftop gardens, which is a highly underutilized thing in all of it, and there's plenty of roofs that really people don't have access to, but could be turned into things.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, we got a lot of rooftops. Saint Jacques would be great for that. Environmentally friendly, man. It's like what to even start with. Hey, for starters, just off the top of my head, it'd be great to get rid of the bylaws that force us to have front lawns. Such wasted space. It's not environmentally friendly. Lawns are terrible for the environment, and we have rules in place that make it very difficult to grow a garden. That make it very difficult to just like let it grow a little bit wilder and become a better home for wildlife. Yeah, like I've met people in the neighborhood who have shown me their gardens and been like, please don't report me, because they've set up their front garden like a food garden in ways that aren't allowed by the borough. You want to help the environment, you want to encourage more people to make the neighborhood beautiful and produce a little bit of local food while they're at it. Just get rid of the rules that say that we need to have grass lawns. Basic stuff, small things.
How do you do that? Like, are you able to, or is that like there's no way in hell? Like just on a curiosity front.
No, I think that's something we could do. That's local laws, local bylaws. Yeah, that's something that can be done locally for sure.
Can you plant fruit trees?
You can absolutely plant fruit trees. Côte St. Luc started doing that a few years ago. That's really cool. People can do that in their backyards already if they want.
But what about it, like, in the parks and stuff? Like imagine setting up some apple trees in the park.
Yeah, Côte St. Luc. I don't know if it was in the parks, but it was definitely for street trees. That's something that they started doing. We could totally do that. Yeah. And that's not even, you don't even need to change any rules. You just need to like give the order to the employees to do it.
On top of that, it gives you like this like whole like Balarama cares about house and I'm up on that eco.
Like that's something that no matter where you are, you can do it. Like no matter where you are, no matter how much money you have, you want to plant an apple tree, like you can do it. You want to have a little small garden. Gardens are super popular in the neighborhood. We've got public garden plots, and like the wait lines for them are really long. But yeah, there's tons of small stuff that we can do. I don't know. I'm kind of torn between like all these cool little things that we can encourage and like wanting to like go big or go home, and that's I'm still kicking some ideas around, but nothing that I'm going to talk about tonight. That's keeping under wraps for another few weeks.
Nah, you do your thing. I mean, I don't know. You're like an active politician guy, so it's a little different than the speculative politician guys.
Well, sometimes like speculation is good. It kind of gets.
No, sorry, what I meant like is, let's say a candidate isn't like actively influencing so much as being more speculative of what they would do. It's a lot of what I will do, whereas you're like right there right now, and you could go and start a thing, at least until like November when we go through the gauntlet again, as I understand it.
Yeah, for a couple more months. Yeah, I think little things like that involve changing local rules so that we could encourage more environmentally friendly things. I'd love to see more environmentally oriented projects in our parks as well. We've got some really cool local organizations that work for like on urban agriculture projects. There's some groups like plant gardens, and they let people know. They put up a sign, hey, you want to pick some herbs, you want a couple of small veggies, here, it's for anyone to take. Like that's really cool, those things. And like doing them more in our public parks, I think could be really a nice way of making use of some of that space.
Is there like a repository from the city of all the cool like things in the city?
I don't think there's any one repository. No,
Are you able to make one?
no. For the whole city,
Sorry, for
maybe.
let's say like NDG, like localized.
I think NDG would be possible. I think NDG we could do.
Like from a project management perspective, I could scope that in my head, so I know it's not hard. It's just a matter of approvals, and you guys would have to hire somebody.
It's a matter of
do it.
Yeah, to compile everything. Like technically, we could. Yeah, technically it's straightforward. We could have a pretty cool interactive map or something. But yeah, just in terms of compiling all the information, like yeah, we could probably find a way of doing that. Like there's some community groups that have already put out, useful maps of like things that you can find in the neighborhood. When it comes to cool projects and stuff, I think that's just like a variation of that we've never considered doing before.
If y'all did that, and then you did that, just imagine you could say you did that. No, but like having that resource to me sounds like such a low-hanging fruit thing for the government to do. If you're like, from my perception, because I know relative to 98% of your projects, that is low-hanging fruit.
We've got a lot of low-hanging fruit that we do not pick, my friend. Like that's like, I'm gonna come back full circle to what I was saying before. Like there is so much that we could do, and I'm just waiting. Like, of course I'm saying this now, and then I'm gonna wake up tomorrow and people are gonna be like, well, you're there, right? It's like you were saying before, well, you're there, why didn't you do it? Sometimes it takes seeing things from the inside to realize just how much more we could do to like with the things like large and small to improve things in the neighborhood.
And
I've become a pretty big believer in like small is beautiful.
I feel like the unfortunate part for the people watching this that you can't say is if he says some of the things that he wants to say, other people in his office place will make his life so fucking difficult that nothing will happen on pride and ego. He can't say that. I can say that. And that's the facts of how it works, is you got to watch what you say in a lot of ways, or it's democracy in a quite literal sense.
It's not just the workplace, right? It's like it's that whole political game, right? Like a great example is the lawn thing, right? Oh, could we change the rules governing lawns? Yeah, we could change the rules governing lawns. And then, people come back, well, why haven't you done it yet, right? If it's such a great idea, why haven't you done it? It's like, because it's a big city and there are a lot of things that we try to get done, right? So it's weird how and again, that's something that I love about being able to have these kinds of talks, right? This isn't a political debate. This is not, you or me trying to score points. This is just like two dudes talking about some cool ideas and what could be good to do. And that's the way a healthy civic discussion should at least start, but political discussions don't really go that way, because there's always, you're trying to angle for the advantage, or you're trying to score a point or something like that. I'm more than happy to like shoot the shit and talk about ideas that could be cool for the neighborhood, even if it's not stuff that I'm going to like get up and do tomorrow. It's stuff that we should be thinking about. It's good to be thinking about. But yeah, you got to kind of,
that's a good point
oftentimes
too.
You got to watch what you say.
But it's also like, as much as what I'm hearing you say is the people also need to get their shit together in terms of understanding what's possible and not. Because this whole system doesn't work if the general population is that ignorant to the system that they're going to come back at you a week later and be like, yo, why didn't you change the law yet? I mean, that sounds like there's a lot of education on our side that also matters. And like, I feel very confident saying that my millennial brethren and I have been absolutely garbage at giving a crap about civic duty. It's something I thought a lot about recently, and it's part of why I'm here now, because I feel like we neglected this for so long, right? Like, none of us care. I'm in my 30s. This is like 50 years ago. I'm a full grown adult in the eyes of everybody halfway through my life, right? Like, how like did we get to a point where this is an overgrown childhood age? Like, in a lot of ways. When it comes down to stuff like being
Yeah.
involved, like we're supposed to be paying attention to politics, like as citizens. Like it's not supposed to be something that we like completely neglect because it's kind of boring, and it's so boring. But like at the same time, if y'all spent like $500,000 on a dog park, I don't know how much a dog park costs, but if y'all spent like,
Thankfully, not that much.
but like if y'all,
But I hear you.
if y'all
Yeah.
spent like serious money on a dog park, I'm like, I want to know, because like y'all could have made a venue, like that's how my head's at, and it's like maybe not a venue. I understand that's way more complicated, but like what projects to get done? What happens? I don't know. What even matters? Y'all make $100 a year. I googled it. I was curious. $100 a year. Y'all make good money to like do stuff.
No longer. No
Oh,
longer.
it's not that?
No, man. When I left, I lost. It's like a solid, what, 20 grand, 18 grand? Yeah. I mean, I'm still, don't get me wrong.
I
I'm
just
still doing
googled
just
what
fine.
Montreal says it pays city councilors, and it said 100 and change a year.
I think that might be the average. Yeah. I'm no longer making the average because I pissed too many people off.
Fair. But that's the case. That's not a shit salary. I'm like, okay, y'all make money. Not like super good money, but that's like everybody there makes.
That's like your good living. It's a good living. Yeah.
And I was like, yo, maybe I gotta rethink, because Merle was like, you should run. I'm like, I smoke way too much weed to be a politician right now. That's it's just what it is. We're 10 years too early.
It's legal. That doesn't mean that it's
Justin has to
culturally
like get out and
acceptable for
admit that he's
everyone.
smoking, kind of thing.
Yeah. And even then it was a puff, right? It was just a puff. Yeah.
Hopefully we're past that.
Hopefully.
But yeah.
I mean, I think it's funny you should use that as an example, because like that's another thing that like we see it play out in neighborhood discussions, and there is still a civic debate there. Things like smoking in parks, right? I know a lot of people that
I got in trouble the other
want to
day.
make it. What's that?
SPVM cops are like, bro, you know it's a $600 ticket, right? And I'm like, I sort of know that. You're right. I don't think about that. I'm
Where?
Loyola Park. They like cycled right up on me because there's a dog park now. It's gonna attract new attention and more things. So it's a lot more like, I'm like, y'all just messed up like my swing where I like to, you know.
That's really pushing it, because we allow smoking in parks. We allow smoking cigarettes. We allow smoking.
Smoking marijuana is not legal in the province, though. It's still not legal in public in the province, like because of Quebec. It's completely not legal for me to smoke weed in public in this province. Like it is what it is. You might tolerate it, but like Quebec never.
Well, that's not the way the city works. For the city, you want to smoke in a park, you smoke in a park.
Yeah, SPVM cops showed up straight up at Loyola Park, and we're like, yo, it's a $600 ticket, yo, for smoking here in Loyola Park, right next to the dog park.
That's the first time since legalization that I've heard of that happening.
Yeah,
That's
I was
weird.
like, say a word. There's a new dog park over here. I'm like, oh wow.
That's weird, man.
But I mean,
yeah.
Anyway, none of that's really stuff in your control in a lot of ways, because I understand that. That's like we're going to provincial at that point, and the province don't give a fuck about Montreal.
But it's all. I mean, that much is true. But it's also a discussion that's being had in the neighborhood. You know, because like people, you know, it bothers some people. They're worried about the kids, and it's like sometimes some very legitimate concerns. You know,
big legitimate.
And then other people are just saying like, I don't like the smell. You know, so it kind of varies.
So like, I look at it like this. You can like make it in a way where there's areas that are like more child friendly, but like you also have to give the people a place to go in public and do the thing. Otherwise, like you're just gonna end up in conflict, because that's just to the parents and stuff. Like, yo, I agree. Loyola Park might not be the right park to go burn some herbs right now. It's really like full of kids in a way that it's like undeniably full of kids. Fair enough, but like, I don't know. That's my only ever concern in this, is that like a lot of parents come through and get parenty, and then like nobody cares about the fact that it's illegal to smoke in your apartment because of Quebec, and like a lot of other concerns that don't get brought up. So if it's illegal outside and it's illegal inside, it's kind of weird that the government's still selling it.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons why the government needed to allow smoking in at least some public places. Like, remember at the beginning when it was just being legalized, and like some people were saying like, oh, people shouldn't be allowed to smoke in the street. They shouldn't be allowed to smoke on the sidewalk. And then it's like, well, if you're not going to let people smoke inside, and at that point there was a lot more talk about banning it in parks, like where exactly, right? Like where are you going to go? Like you need to offer people something, because if you offer them nothing, then you're essentially making it illegal. So you need to give them something. I'm still surprised that happened in Loyola.
Like I'm
I
like
get
90% certain it's still illegal to smoke in public according to Quebec law, and Montreal just doesn't enforce it. Like I'm pretty sure. Like I don't remember anybody ever telling me it was legal.
Like that would be a huge surprise for me. I mean, you might be right, but all I know is that here in Montreal, like you go to Girard Park, right? Nobody cares. Trenham, that's where everyone went when I was in high school. You know, like you go to Trenham Park and you smoke a J on the bleachers, like nobody's gonna stop you. The police sure as hell aren't gonna show up. Like
nobody cared.
It's really weird
until
that
the
happened in Loyola.
But the dog park opened.
Right. It's all about the dog park. Right?
I don't know. That factor changed, and I'm not trying to hate on that dog park, but I remember that I've been there.
It's okay. Plenty of people are hating on the dog park.
It's like I don't know. Like I don't know that it's that, but I imagine you open a fancy new dog park, and you're gonna maybe have a little bit more people coming through. But it was more SPVM bike cops. Like, what are y'all doing there?
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Like I don't. Like, do y'all use the SPVM cops as private security or something? Like, I don't understand.
No, but see, that's what I'm saying, man. Like, and you know, it's funny you should say it, because like I feel like it gets into like another issue that we have. I mean, I don't know if you want to get into a discussion about the police. It's getting a little late.
But, I got about another 15 or so.
I mean, we can go there if you want to, but like one of the problems that we have in the city is that, you know, when rules are unclear, they tend to get applied unequally. And so, you know, I can almost guarantee you that someone that like dresses like me, for example, and that looks like me, if I'm sitting on a bench in a park smoking a fatty, I'm not going to get stopped. They're not going to come up to me. They're not going to do it.
I was pretty white in that moment. I mean, you didn't say it like that, but I was like absolutely surprised that they stopped me because of how little it's ever happened in my life.
Yeah. Granted, white, that helps in not getting stopped. We know this. Most of the people that do get stopped for reasons that often end up being unnecessary do not look like you and me.
Yeah.
Right. We know this. And honestly, like that's one of the reasons why it frankly, it pisses me off to hear that the enforcement is happening, you know, in a way that's so uneven, which is why I think we need to allow some of these things in public places and make it clear that like, no, it's not illegal, not for the city of Montreal. And we need to make it clear to our police that like, you guys should not be policing this. Like, frankly, you are not school teachers. You are not daycare workers. You are not glorified park wardens. You are police. You have guns. You have a monopoly on the legitimate use of public force. Yeah, man.
Bike cops have guns?
Not if they're cadets. If they're cadets, then they don't. But if they are full-fledged cops on bicycles,
sorry, I meant SPVM cops. I meant to say SPVM because this was the SPVM cops, which was the most baffling thing. Because again, what SPVM related stuff is in the middle of Loyola Park that could possibly warrant a bunch of cycle SPVM cop? Not SPVM. I keep meaning to say like the STCM.
Oh, the STM?
Yeah. Oh no, like maybe I'm wrong. You know what? I think I'm really confused. I got confused there for a second.
It's probably regular police.
It was probably regular police. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I feel
STM wouldn't have cops out there.
I feel like it was something like not regular cops. Like they were kind of like just cycle. I don't know. There was something about it. Either way, I was like, because they were like, the cops will give you this ticket. Was kind of like the way they worded it to me. So it felt weird.
Could have been cadets.
Maybe.
It could have been police cadets.
Yeah, I think...
And in that case, I'm inclined to say that they were misinformed, because you're allowed to, like, you're not supposed to smoke close to facilities meant for children. But
what's a facility meant for children? Is the baseball
like
diamond?
Like a playground.
Is the baseball diamond a facility meant for children? And I don't know that sincerely or not, because it's not that far from the baseball diamond technically. Like I don't know what the rules are on this.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. The focus is usually on things like playgrounds and splash pads and stuff like that, but it can be a little unclear. But all the more reason why we need to just be, like, are you allowed to smoke a cigarette in the park? Yes. So, it's at the end of the day, it's the same thing. It bothers a lot of people in the same way, but it's also a question of people being able to do it. Do I like smelling cigarettes in the park? No. Like, that's just something that I don't like. Okay, so if I don't like it, I'm going to try to avoid it. But there's still places in the park where chances are I'm not going to smell someone smoking cigarettes. Same thing with weed, except for, Girard Park at night, because
even then, there's like a natural breakdown to Girard Park. People don't smoke weed next to where the kids are at, and the kids have their designated part, and like it's really cleanly divided.
Yeah. In that corner, it's usually really good, exactly, because people know that, like, even if it's getting a little bit later, like, this is where the kids usually play, and we gotta, like, we've got the rest of the park. Like, be cool, be respectful, respect the fact that this is a public place that is shared by many people. That's like one of the big challenges of city living, of living together. Let's try to think of other people. And I think, generally speaking, we do an okay job at that in NDG. It's one of the things I love about this neighborhood. We just got to try not to get carried away with it, because I hear the debate, right? I hear people saying, people are smoking in the park and my kids are playing in the park, and I don't want to, I don't want to have to deal with this, which I get it, but it's a public space. It's there for everyone.
I even get it, parents. I totally would be you if I was you, but I'm not. Like, that's just the reality.
Not yet.
But like, even to that end, I'm not in that like frame, right? Like, I'm probably going to be a parent that smokes pot. So like, whoops, that's a thing that people do. And like, it's like, it's
totally a thing that people do.
Like, I think I saw a stat at one point that 48 to 50% of Montreal consumes marijuana at least once a year. So it's like wild to me how much anti-weed rhetoric there is if half the city at least puffs once a year. Like, get out of here.
Yeah.
But
that wouldn't surprise me.
It's not.
It's
been
this,
weed.
That's the city. Like, it's
since time. Legalization made it worse. That's what happened here.
Yeah, for sure. But what I've loved is seeing, like, people who hadn't consumed in a really long time, like, baby boomers that hadn't consumed since they were like teenagers or in their 20s, being like, oh, hey, maybe I'll try it out. Maybe I'll try it again. And it's been interesting to watch.
I know a lot of people that were just their whole life they never did it because it was illegal, and the second they were like, I'm smoking weed. I remember this one guy did puffs with me at the office party. Never been high before. Walked around, told everybody I'm high, but this is the first office party it's legal. So we're smoking joints in front of HR, and we're like, she's like staring at us, and we're all staring at her, and
kind of like eye twitching a little bit.
Like, I'm pushing the limits, aren't I? She's like, yeah, but you're not. And I'm like, I'm not, eh? Like, it's because normally you just walk in smelling like, like.
Yeah.
Nah, but it's a fair debate, everybody out there. I'm not even saying that people didn't have a point. Sometimes, like, people can be excessive.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, a big part of, like I said, a big part of living in a community is just like taking a moment to pause and listen to what other people are saying.
That's fair. Do you have any like last remarks you want to give the folk of the universe today? Fair enough.
No, I mean, damn, man, we've covered so much ground. It's been like 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I guess I just want to say, like, keep doing stuff like this, keep listening to stuff like this. It doesn't have to be necessarily political, but there isn't enough awareness as to what's going on. And you're doing, like, to anyone watching, like, we're doing this with your money too. It's this comes from all of us. My salary is paid by tax money, right? I'm working. I'm not just working for like I often joke to people. I don't have one boss. I have 22,000 bosses. You know, it's the people, the voters of Loyola, and there is. I remain convinced. Like it's been almost 4 years for me. It's been a rock and roll 4 years, a hell of a roller coaster at some points, but I remain as convinced as I was on day one when I got into this that the best things that we can accomplish, we accomplish together. We do them as a society, we do them as a neighborhood, as a borough, as a city. And the best things only happen when a lot more people get involved. And above and beyond all the politics and all the bullshit and all the boringness that so many politicians bring to it, and yeah, I include myself in that sometimes too. You know, it's important to get involved in public life, and no matter what you're interested in, you can do it. Whether it's hip hop or other artistic or cultural activities, or something like highly technical and scientific. Like there are so many ways to get involved in public life, and so much to gain from doing so.
Facts.
Just think about how you can do it. You're going to be happier for it, and your neighborhood will be better off for it.
That's dope. So for all y'all out there watching, thank you for the people that came through in the live. Like honestly, it's dope to see y'all. It's cool. Thank y'all watching in the future. All of the links will be below. The like 2 links I found. The one that's to the city profile page and his Facebook, so you can get a hold of him. And then when he has an Insta,
all 2 of them.
I was like, damn, man.
All 2 of them, so you can write to me on Facebook, tell me to get on Insta.
You should though. But like, no, I mean you should tell him. I'm talking to the people. Write to him and tell him to go on the gram. Tell him you want to see the talk, yo. Don't even stop at the gram. Bring him to the talk.
Strengthen numbers. Tell
him you're like, I'll vote for you if you go on TikTok.
Holden, you get a petition. You get a petition of local area residents going, saying we want Christian Arseneault to get on Instagram.
I swear, imagine, bro. Like that could be a can of worms.
You get me. What do we say? You get me 50 signatures. That's what I'm gonna leave you with. Give me 50 local signatures that want me on Insta. I'll do it.
I have access to an e-sign solution that counts for validating.
No change.org.
No change.org. An e-sign solution, as in via PDF that requires personalized signatures to people with actual audits that are legally binding. It's what y'all use to sign contracts at work. It's the e-sign. It's like.
I have not used e-sign once in the last year.
Y'all don't have an e-sign solution? Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous shit. It'll save you so much money.
That is a little weird.
Signatures.
Okay. Hey man, 100 signatures.
My company's
We're laying it down right now.
Totally not like, yeah, I saw you change the number.
Did I say 50?
You did.
100?
You said
50? I'll say 50. No number inflation. Okay.
Fair enough.
50.
I'm not
50.
Really
there we go. We good.
We'll see what happens with that. But if y'all want to see it, hit them up. But yo, most importantly though, thank y'all for watching. Stay involved in this stuff. All that good things. And yeah, I don't know. Subscribe, follow, like all that good stuff. I'm gonna start the raid on my side. And yo, honestly, live long and prosper, everybody.
Oh yeah.
That's my favorite.